welcome to the stream. Happy Valentine's Day. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Turtle, that emote gets me every time. The tail's so fluffy. It's so cute. Thank you though, Turtle. Thank you so much for that sub. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, Michigan, for your Prime sub. You could give that away anywhere, and you just gave it away here. Thank you so much. And Slow Hand Fred. Welcome, Fred. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for that follow. And Lady Rain, thank you for being here. Oh, Dash, welcome. Nico, Nico, Nico. Dash, welcome to the stream. How you doing? I hope you're doing awesome. Happy Valentine's Day, Dash. Let's see. Did I miss anybody? Did I miss? Oh, it's Splints. Splints was trying to burn me earlier. I don't even think I heard it. I don't think it went off. How strange. Feeling better was getting over the flu. Oh, the flu's the worst. It was going around and everyone was getting it, right? So it was bad. I think I've fought it off like twice now and haven't got it, so keep your fingers crossed. I'm doing pretty good. Flu sucks. Yes, Rain. It really does. Poor Rain. I hope you get feeling better soon. I really do. My phone's going off there. I'll turn my phone down so it stops doing crazy noises. But yes, welcome everybody. Welcome to the stream. We're gonna roll some marbles tonight, and you guys get a chance to win some stream keys. So hang tight and or Steam keys. I said stream keys, not stream keys. Oh no, can't have my stream key. But no, yeah, Steam keys. I always do that. I get Steam and stream, like those two words like interchanged all the time in my brain. Does anybody else do that? Like as a streamer, I'm like in and out of, you know, streamer mode and gamer mode all the time, so I don't know. At least you didn't have a person with a Barbie coat with a math high score. My whole congregation, where most of them are over 70. What? A meth high scare? Oh no. I hope everything's okay now, Parker. Happy Valentine's Day. You look great tonight. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here. Why is my camera doing wacky stuff? There we go. Shane, thank you so much for the 84 months. Holy cow, thank you. Lemon, welcome. Happy Valentine's Day. You beautiful human, you. I gotta see why my phone's like blowing up. It's like, oh geez. Like too many messages. Let's see. Aw, thank you guys. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. Let's see. Alright, okay, back to you guys. Let's see. Well, at least you're safe here now, Parker. You look great, Mono. Thank you so much, Shane. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I clean up nice every now and then. Just every now and then. I can't do it all the time. I'm too much of a country girl. Nessie! That and work and stress and I don't know. I just don't do it very often. Nessie! Who is this red cutie? I don't know. I was like, my hair's actually still a little wet though, guys. I'm such a bum. I didn't blow dry it, so it'll get fluffier and frizzier as the night goes on because I haven't done anything with it. Thank you! Oh my gosh! We're gifting 2 subs to the channel. You started a hype train. Holy cow. You're special. Momo? Thank you so much, Momo, and I hope you have a wonderful night. I hope you have an amazing, wonderful night. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Dang, guys, dang. Alright, I should join my wild community who is patiently waiting for me to start Marbles tonight. They hang out with me every Friday night, and it's people that I've known a long time. So if you join my Discord and you get to know me and you hang out, then I invite you to go live with me on Friday nights as we play different community games. Normally I like to stream Stardew. I'm not gonna lie. And then one of my other favorite games that I haven't streamed in a long time, but I do play it behind the scenes every now and then, is Genshin. And I like to do art as well. So I paint a lot of Pokemon, things like that. So welcome to my stream if you're new here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you. If you're lurking and listening, thank you for the lurking. Let's see. You need to be up in 5 hours again? Come on, Momo. Do I need to join my community space back? I don't know. You did leave. You did leave. Momo has a black heart. That's what I hear. Thank you so much, Momo. Thank you for that sub. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for gifting your Prime sub. Thank you for the 22 months. Holy cow. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Alright, I guess we get like multiple thingamajigs because the bots are like going wild tonight, by the way. I don't know what's gotten into them. I did do some changes. Just minor, like which side is this on? I did that thing up there is the new text scrolly thing. I like the little pink bubbles each time you guys text. Weird, it registers as a gift sub. Weird. I don't know. No. You'll earn it back. I know you will, Parker. You're always welcome. Alright, let's go grab the team. Let's grab the team. I think they're waiting. Let me go find them. Holy cow, the Discord's full. Okay, I don't know how loud it's gonna be. Just prepare your ears. I'm gonna prepare mine. Yeah, gonna prepare mine. So, actually, I'm gonna pre-prepare and turn them down before I join because there's quite a few people in here. So let's jump in and say hi.
They made a new anime.
Oh my gosh, we're live!
Yeah, he's asking about.
Hello, everyone! Hello, hello, hello! Welcome to the team! Thank you guys for being here. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Happy day.
I can't think of a better way to spend Valentine's Day with my family.
Aww.
Can we what? Is that okay? I gotta turn up things.
Tim Burton.
Oh.
Batman.
There we go. Gotta adjust everybody's volumes as we go tonight so I can hear you guys.
Edward.
There's a game coming out it's called Midnight Walk.
I gotta make sure I can hear you guys.
If you love Tim Burton, that
What?
whole that art
Happy
style,
Valentine's Day, Water!
whole game.
Roar! Welcome, Shocky,
It
welcome!
looks really messed
Not
up.
my butt. Shocky, Burt, Lemon's butt.
Biscuits are burning.
Yep.
No one's
Unlocked random emote. Ooh, I unlocked a treasure chest. For Streamlove, KimonoKat, I'm gonna go for try to sleep.
Well,
Yes,
what,
please
spoil what
sleep.
now?
Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to you too, Water. It's so good to see you.
No,
Let's
Well,
go.
You can't spoil anything for me
Okay,
because
okay.
my memory will forget it. And, like,
Alright. Grand
Okay.
Prix. I think there's buttons here somewhere.
Watching it, so.
I'm winning all the races.
And then
Did I just
Yes.
splash
I don't
a
know,
bot?
I'm
here.
Bot?
Well,
I think I switched it over. Just finished her homework. Open. I got a chest. No, the chest has an emote in it. Oh, okay. I thought the chest was the emote. Now I'm disappointed. I wanted the treasure chest emote.
You wanted to try.
I wanted the treasure chest. You look great, by the way. Thank you so much, Momo. Splendid splashing boss. Water just finished her homework. Proud of you, Water. Let's hope the keys aren't all VR. I remember when
Amanda.
that happened right. That was so funny. I was like, oops, I think I messed up. Okay, night. Bye, Mama. Let's
Alright,
see.
there we go.
Oh, shit.
Let's see.
Do that.
Long time no see. Yes. Long time no see. Okay, I'm gonna set up this thing here. We're gonna do 5 maps. And I'm gonna just let it autofill. Or 5 tracks, I should say. And let you guys go ahead and get on.
Is this?
Okay.
I need
Okay,
to
well,
Exclamation
others.
play to join. That's all you have to do, guys. That's all you have to do. Okay. And tonight I'm giving away Steam keys. So if you're on the top of the podium, you get a key. So good luck. Good luck, winner of 5 races. So it's not too many. It'll go by really fast. And I'll do that throughout the night. So stay put, hang tight.
Yep, there we go. Making sure I did it right.
Jeez, I haven't played marbles in ages. Yes. It's time to play marbles.
No one's gonna
And I
pay
can't win.
attention to shit.
What are you
So
talking
rude.
about? What did
You're
I
gonna
not
make
pay
me pay
attention?
attention to play this instead of playing my
Yes.
other game.
Oh, that you mean that's the goal. Join us.
Just
One
have
of us.
exclamation play on your clipboard so you can
Why not?
paste it and hit enter.
Right?
Yeah, but
I need to
I
like moved my
I hyper focus. Like I
My-
can't.
I'll
my
remind you.
stream deck is way over there. Ladies,
I
hear
closed
him
it. I
out.
closed
Yeah,
most
you
of
better
it.
run away. She's here.
How rude, Shocky. That's so rude.
Okay, I need to like
How
move my
rude.
big face is like on the ding. And this is the marbles is that game that I don't know where to stick myself.
Hmm.
Right in the middle.
There's nowhere on the screen that works.
No,
You're always going to
there's
be
not.
blocking something.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna block the little sheep marble. Just I'm gonna block the sheep marble tonight. Sorry, sheep.
What? I want that one.
And then even my text chat is like blocking the marbles.
What
That's
would you
okay.
use Steam keys for exactly?
It's the
Unlocks
Steam
games.
game key.
Free
It's
games.
Oh,
So you
okay.
could claim a
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
on
That's
Free
Steam.
games.
Yeah.
Hoop?
Is it like any game or is it certain games?
It's
She
certain
has
games.
specific games.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll find out when you receive it.
It's
Yeah,
random
that's what it
games, totally random. So you never know what you're gonna get. I'm just doing
If
them in
and
order.
when.
So that's why I keep track of which ones I've used and I haven't. I'm gonna do them in order. So whichever person wins, that's the order they get given out.
All right.
So
sounds
go
good.
gadget splints.
Okay, goodbye.
Oh no.
What is bye?
What? We're all leaving.
Rain said bye.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, Puddles. Puddles disappeared from my
The
arms.
kitty.
Okay. Hunters.
Funny.
I was like, you're leaving. You just got
Uh,
here.
water. I already claimed
Just
it was
got here.
rig. I got you beat on that one, man.
It's always rigged. If I don't win, same.
Definitely rigged.
And see me.
No,
I don't know where I'm-
you fell off.
I'm trying to
Oh.
Yep,
fix
I fell
my-
off too,
Gross.
apparently.
You-
This is
you
pretty
saw
par
the
for the
thing.
course.
You saw the
I
pictures,
don't win.
right? Cheers. I shared it.
It's
There you
slow
go.
I
growth.
got
Okay.
booted.
Hook catch.
This
That's
was
what I
yesterday
shared
when it
hacks.
arrived.
You could do exclamation hacks.
Yes.
Exclamation
Yes.
rigged.
Just
Exclamation
needed a little more
boost.
context.
So happy
Shock.
it arrived.
You should know. Everyone
Now I
here
have
but
a
me.
non-misprint of this book. Holy shit! I'm sorry. What?
What?
Did you just find something?
Meow.
Is that fucking
Shut the
Snow
fuck
White?
up.
Right?
There's a
Hold
photo
on.
in your
Hold on.
book.
There's
and-
more in
They're
here.
talking about a book, by the way, if you're curious, chat.
There's a couple more in here
Is that
actually.
fucking Snow
Oh,
White?
splints. There we go.
Please send them to me.
Congratulations, Shocky!
Wait, I actually.
Old school marbler gets first place.
I thought I fell off the course. I thought.
I'm pretty sure
Cow.
I did.
Michigan fell
Oh,
off and
oh,
Battle
here we
Cat
go,
fell
we
off.
got
Everybody
Ezra.
else stayed on.
Yeah.
Shocky, Water, Lemon are the first 30.
I found
Alright, now we're gonna go to the next map.
I
I'm
followed
finished.
that
Selena, I
cat.
actually found
Get
by
this
accident.
crumble out of here.
So, Mono,
That's a
question for you.
sliver.
Is it whoever
Oh.
went to the top of the podium overall is the one that gets the
Yes.
or whatever the fuck it is, the
Oh.
token things?
Yes.
Okay, I can't be that mad, but
Okay, cool.
Caspian.
I wonder, does it matter what
Okay.
ball
He
you
looks like a
play? Do they all
cool
play the
guy.
No,
same?
they all do the same.
Is there one of
Yeah, they all do the same.
There's not one of Dayton or Farron, and
No,
I'm
some
really
of them
upset
don't.
about
Aaron's
it.
my favorite.
I know. Ugh,
Meanwhile, chat's all like, "Who?"
Farron?
Hey, I know. I'm like,
I'm doing
Mhm.
that too, and I
you know
become-
what? I'm just gonna turn this chat thing off because it's covering up everything.
No, but I'm okay with Cal.
Oh,
that
I
that
did
image
that
of Cal
wrong.
is quite nice.
It is.
There we go.
I think it's my Geralt. Ugh, I was not a big fan of Geralt, but then Henry Cavill played
What?
Geralt.
What? What, Water? I know you said you did your homework.
Oh,
Chicken
I missed this
butt.
one.
Oh.
Oh,
the dreaded chicken butt.
jeez, Water.
I'm pretty sure I have sent a chicken butt in the book club TikTok.
Oh my gosh. Alright, who's it gonna
we are
be?
just
Dash is
locked
in
in.
front, followed by Michigan. Nope,
Oh, shit,
Michigan
I
just
forgot
ran
to go.
away.
Same, it's okay.
That's chat.
I was
We started
distracted.
fangirling.
Shocky.
I didn't remind you because you said you
distracted
stopped the game.
It's all a ploy. Rain just doesn't want me to win.
All right, I'll remind you next time.
No, jeez.
Look at this Batman cat bag.
Huh?
Catman. Catman.
Burning underneath him.
Oh, jeez.
It's the devil cat. It's like, oh.
Well, his name is Thor.
I mean, it's clearly not too hot because it hasn't moved.
No, I
No,
don't
Alright.
need to worry.
Dreams, I'm not gonna say anything,
I'm
but
more
you
concerned
might be in the
about
lead.
Candles.
Dream, your shoes untied.
Like, I'm not gonna. Like, you had to say something, eh?
I
You
did.
had to say it.
I did.
The way that I'm jumping
You
from
had
like
to say it.
7th to 1st and back again is very confusing.
Guess I have to
Or,
sit three, two,
jump.
six again. Think May?
Bing,
May is
bing,
when the
bing.
next game comes out.
Small wins, Kimono. Small wins.
I'm
I'm
not
waiting
saying
for
anything.
the rest of them to come out because I can't handle reading
I mean, I
things
would-
You're
before I
reading
reading
finish.
so
That's
bad.
like a-
No.
Can't do it.
Darn internet.
I
Farts.
Great
I
win.
don't see any farts.
I'm the same way with like TV shows and stuff. Like, it
Okay.
bugs me. when
I
have
don't
to
know
wait.
what's
Yeah, I
shocking.
usually- I
Not
love reading the
shocking.
unless
Don't
they
forget
decide
the
to do
boost.
the sixth one.
Holy shit!
But
I feel like 5
Nikes.
would
Back
be
to
done.
back, kids.
Zooming way out.
yeah,
So you guys can
but
see each other.
technically the first one
This
was
is
They're
an
catching
interesting
up to
looking
James.
map.
not the rest.
True.
Like little stone trees. Like, where are all the snowmen? There were snowmen at the beginning, and those things looked really weird.
And apparently there's gonna be some more.
Oh, there's
snowmen in the
snowmen.
vibes.
Aren't the snowmen like, I don't know. They're
I'll
kind of
take that.
sus.
Can you zoom in on water there, ball? I don't know. how to say
Ah, I
that
tried, but somebody had to go and win, and then I couldn't zoom in. Dreams?
Dream.
Yeah.
Why'd you have to go and do that?
We're gonna have to do this,
Gosh.
I'm
No,
getting
no,
that.
I don't wanna be
That's
yours.
fine.
No, back when Deathly Hallows was coming out in the movie theater, I saw the first part, and then I realized.
Oh, let's
as I
see.
was leaving,
GG
I'm now gonna
Dreams.
have to wait another 2 years.
Rigged.
Before the
It
other
is
half comes
rigged.
out.
Is
Oh,
that the
yeah.
worst?
I mean, I'd already read the
Okay.
book by that point,
Nobody fell
but
off,
still,
though.
it's like
So
awful.
it's good.
Oh
that's
yeah,
the
you
nice
knew what
thing
was gonna
about
Dreams,
happen.
cat,
obviously.
water.
Imagine waiting almost
It's definitely
20
rigged
years to
if I'm
watch
up
the
there.
New Star Wars.
Yeah, that's
Gosh.
Just saying.
I think 1 and 2 actually came out in the same year.
Ugh.
Mm,
For this book series.
Oh my gosh.
oh. Oh, yeah.
What was that? Somebody's entrance. Sound like an explosion.
I remembered this.
Oh, sorry, I was opening my burr.
Burr, Ethan.
Burr.
Give me my
Look,
bird.
Open your
It
burr.
does not
Your
pick
burr?
that up.
I don't have a burr.
Is like ranked or something. I don't know. 'Cause he has-
Word is word to word.
Hey, get your exclamation
really
point
want
play in.
Yes,
Get your
you have
plays.
40 seconds. Let's go. Oh my gosh, hi Radio. Happy
I
Valentine's
did the
Day.
thing. Yay, I did the thing.
Good to see you, man. Welcome, 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 welcome. Hope you're doing awesome.
Finish the cool pins though. 'Cause I
These
have the other
floating
two ones
green
generated.
things make me nervous.
Yeah.
They seem troublesome.
It's cheat enabled. Hi, Radio.
It reminds me of the
Cub.
inside of a lava lamp.
Mmm.
A little bit.
Yeah.
KimonoKat's heart just skipped a beat, and it's
Did you know
not
there's a
because of the
company that
game.
uses lava
Thanks for
lamps and
making the
cameras
Valentine's Day
watching the
stream
lava
extra
lamps to
special,
generate,
Radio.
like,
The
random
bot, why
keys?
is the bot saying this? And it was because you were gifting us top. The bot is ahead of the
whole
Twitch
wall
bot.
of
I
lava
don't
lamps,
even
and they
know.
use the
Thank
positions
you,
of the
Radio.
blobs to
Thank you so
generate
much.
unique
Thank you for the
keys.
sub.
All right, duly noted.
Target
We're gonna get a house.
KimonoKat.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, yes, yes. I remember that.
It's gotta be expensive though, because
That's
it
what
takes like
Radio
a
always
100-watt
says.
bulb for a lava lamp, doesn't it?
Yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
What's that?
Don't lava lamps take like 100-watt
Oh,
bulbs? So it's gotta
Dreams,
be
don't
expensive
you
to run a bunch of
even-
them.
Oh,
I
oh,
don't
lady,
know.
lady.
'Cause they gotta be really hot in order to do what they do.
I'm winning.
Let's
I'm
see.
winning. I'm winning. Sweet.
I don't.
Yep.
I don't think
No,
I've
I'm gonna
ever
win.
realized. Honestly.
I never win. Sorry.
Oh,
They
yes.
get quite hot.
Thank you,
I
Radio.
don't know. I've never owned one.
yes.
My grandparents had one when I was a kid.
Yeah, I think my generation was probably the last people that ever bought them at Spencer's.
Yeah, I got.
No
encouraged
targeting
not
the
to
cat.
because
No
they-
targeting the cat, Chalky.
They don't explode.
Oh,
Yeah,
stun.
there was several.
Michigan, thank you for that
I
hype.
know of.
I'm falling behind and not doing the hype thing.
Like a bottle cap.
Poor
that basically
dude.
would run
How can it
up and
stay?
down
Yeah,
that bottle
yeah,
cap
3
button.
out of a million.
I'm just saying,
Oh my.
get one because of it.
Still winning. Heck yes.
Do people still buy black lights?
Sub hype, yes.
To
Oh,
be
those
fair,
are cool
I have a
emotes.
bunch
I
of
like that.
black
The
light
sub
bulbs
hype
because
one.
buy
I like
them
it because it's like all different colors.
I have
Fair
a
enough.
black light, but that's to see for app.
And then my pixel
Pretty
star, my
pulling out of
rotating
the
pixel
box.
star. That was actually an
don't have
error
that.
when it uploaded that the star does that, but we actually like it so
Okay.
much that I left it and I
tiny.
didn't reload it.
Ugh.
Come on, motherfucker.
It was funny how that worked. It's not supposed to do that. It's actually just a straight PNG. Like, no
I
background
used to sleep
file.
in the crawl space
But for
attic
some
we
reason it
had.
does like that black pixely all the way
sorry.
around it, and we're just
Oh,
like,
the door
leave
behind
it. It looks cool.
Yeah, it was basically like that
Dude,
high.
that's where I slept when I was at his house. Yeah, he shoved me in there.
Anyway,
I
Mine
sorry.
just
was
have-
the skinny door.
You know what's wrong with this? I don't have any drinks
But that's
or
the type
candy
of lamp I
or
had in the crawl
nothing.
space is a black
That's
That's
light.
terrible. They're in the kitchen.
Somebody
Lady!
wants China.
Congrats! GG!
What?
Fuck yeah.
My brain just clicked on.
Can't touch that.
Sorry.
What?
Dun.
Are y'all being bad over there, Michigan?
No.
I'm
I'm not
Never.
doing anything.
Us? Us
wait.
be bad? Not a chance.
Honestly, though, we really weren't.
It's more like guilty by association here. I don't know.
No, I didn't do anything. I'm my hands up.
Mono, I want to say, not to be bad, but you look wonderful. So
Thank
happy
you.
Valentine's
Thank you
Day.
so much. Appreciate it. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Doing awesome. Glad to be here. Glad to be not tired and too exhausted or feeling under the weather or whatever. And glad to be here.
Look at us. We have more
Valentine's
dates
Day.
than most
Valentine's
people
Day
on
for that.
Valentine's Day, right?
You know what? I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that we're all here, and we're able to have fun with one
Mhm,
another.
mhm, mhm,
One another.
mhm.
I'm happy Mono didn't
Me
get
too.
sick from me.
I did it. Are you proud of me? I like.
I'm so proud of you. But Dalton's getting the sick from me, and it's great.
he knew he was. He kept saying, "I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get
Called
it."
Well, how's that?
Right, and I did not.
Freaking manifested
I
that shit.
felt like
Occasionally,
a little
which-
kind of sick on
but I
Tuesday,
haven't
and that was
been
it. It
sick.
was gone. But yeah, I hung out with Rain for like 48 hours while she had the flu and 103 fever, and I didn't get sick.
Good thing you were outdoors.
Well, no, I was in a car with her for
Partial.
12 hours. Does
Yeah,
that
oh, yeah,
count?
that-
That's how you
she's
get
been
sick.
on
Oh,
the
that
couch.
was
And she's
gross.
coughing the whole time with the windows
You're
up.
sitting there doing
Oh
this.
my goodness.
I didn't
It was
realize you were
fun,
in
it
the
was
car
worth
for
it.
12 hours.
Total, roughly.
But yeah,
Yeah.
2 different days, but yeah.
How is that even possible that you didn't get sick? Well,
Vitamins,
If
lots of
Oh,
sleep.
okay, then.
My
Something like
my
a
immune system was shot
Pretty
when I got
impressive.
sick, so that's why that happened. But
Yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
just made
pretty
sure
okay.
I got lots of rest and sleep and listened to my body. And drink lots
yeah,
of extra
don't do what I
water.
did and not listen to your body and just
Or don't breathe. She
get all
actually
fucked
wasn't
up.
breathing. the whole
KimonoKat,
time.
they
It's
told
just-
me I couldn't touch fine art, but someone has to
body's
pin
telling me
you to the
yes.
wall.
Oh, no.
That's so
My immune system.
cute. I like that. That sounds like something out of an anime. Fruit
This is a really
baskets.
cheesy pickup line.
It is, but it's
That's my
but it
favorite
reminds me
type
of
of
fruit
anime.
baskets. It just makes me think of fruit baskets. That scene where like
Fruits basket. Yeah.
girls know what I'm talking about.
Did you,
I
Yeah.
love
Fruit
fruits
basket
basket.
is-
did you just say fruits basket? What-
Twice to reiterate, yes, because I realized I
Yeah,
said it.
He's learning how to talk
10
from me.
out
which
of
is,
Yes.
Such a good anime.
Yeah.
All right,
Fruits basket
guys,
is pretty
who's
good.
gonna get it?
Soma for life.
Ooh, look at dreams.
Am I? Can I
To
at
be
least
fair
win
though,
one
as
today?
much as
Valentine,
I rock
Michigan.
Yo, I've
Look at
always
the
been a
fiery
Hatsuri
slimes.
girl.
They're so cool looking.
Oh,
They made me want to play
Hatsuri.
Slime Rancher
Oh,
almost.
I love Haru.
Oh, how did I
Yeah.
get so close to the
I remember
slimes?
the other slice of life I really love. It's something about like one of the dachi shops. Like
I
they sell
guess
the
you
little,
guys
like,
can't get vaporized by the
traditional candies
lasers
and
is the
stuff.
goal.
The laser.
I can't remember what it's called.
And then
it's so
oh
good,
oh
though.
Oron's
Somebody
a
made it
really
down the
good one,
path.
too.
I like slice of life. Just saying.
Yeah.
You guys gotta get over here to the basket. Like that's
Oh, I
probably
forgot
under my
again.
face.
I've seen
I don't.
basket.
Oh,
Hey Rose, don't tell us what to do, right?
Rose.
I forgot
Rose.
again.
Mono is
Personally.
4'11", everyone. I am
No,
not
I'll leave that
4'11".
Sorry, I was lagging. My bad.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah,
I
he's
ruined
always
what I said.
lagging.
I didn't,
Rain, am I 4'11"?
I didn't remind you this
You
time.
are
did
not
I? I'm sorry.
4'11.
It's
Thank you.
Forget
I
you
got
like
so
it.
excited about
5'1" or
fruit
2.
basket.
I can't remember which one, but
Fruit
you're
basket.
only a few inches shorter
I
than
always
me.
forget that Mono's stream is kind of ahead or behind.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, he's
Yeah.
fine, yeah.
Yeah.
The stream will be
Oh,
if
yeah,
you're watching
really,
the
it's like
stream,
a
it's delayed
5-second
from
delay
yeah
or
what
something.
I actually say, so that kind of messes you up.
That's why I
Yeah,
have to mute the
that's
stream.
why it messes with me.
Oh, I'm in first. Oh, wait a minute. I'm last.
I love these commercial breaks from Frosty Tools.
Oh, when the ad stuff pops up.
FrostyTool.com. Now a verse from our collective.
Tacos
Okay.
made, Torm, Weefy Woes, and Mono's height. What? Of my height?
Oh, I didn't
Water
realize that they
escape
were
returns
mod, and I was like, oh, I'm just over
light.
here.
It just
Flashing
sounds
dots.
like
Play.
Spanish. I mean, it just like
As marbles race the players they play, tacos made dorm Wi-Fi woes.
Oh no.
Need the punchline
I think the bot's drunk. Just saying. Also,
Hey,
GG
Where,
Where's
skills.
where did the
Valentine's?
dorm room?
The
like,
bot-
where
the
did the
bot
dorm
is single,
Wi-Fi come
single.
from?
I have no early
What?
idea.
Tacos.
Hey,
Tacos
Spencer,
are always
how
talked
do you feel?
about.
Punchline that
but-
growls.
I feel great. I'm going to
GG's
Disneyland.
all
I don't know what that's
around.
talking about.
gross.
Can I
Chat
come
with
live
punchline
in
that
Kimono's stream. We thrive.
Anyway, Flint said he's going
I-
to Disneyland because he won. So
I kind of like
I-
it
I was
because it
gonna say,
lets
did
me
you
know
win
when
the Super
people
Bowl?
can't hear me talking though.
Yeah.
That's I kind of like that. It might say the cheesiest things, but at least I know.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say Mono's narrative didn't come true for the Super Bowl.
Oh
the
yeah,
narrative.
yeah. That
Let's
one,
just
yeah.
ignore all previous
was the-
prompts, right?
The
What
only way
was
that
there
the
to-
goal could have been better is if the Chiefs hadn't scored at all. So,
Split Shane Javron. Alright. On to
Mono's
the final
narrative
map.
included the Chiefs making a comeback in the second half,
Oh, Eagles all the time.
Oh yeah.
and then
I was
Travis
waiting for the
Kelsey
refs to
proposing
pave
to
them away.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Nah.
Travis Kelsey proposing to Taylor Swift and then retiring. That was my script for this.
Yeah.
We were pre-writing
she
the
wrote
script
it.
for the Super
Don't
Bowl.
worry, when
but
football
It,
starts,
it,
it'll be
it got
Taylor's
leaked,
win.
so we had to change the script at the last minute. And, yeah.
Oh, I actually hacked it
Did
and
he
changed
propose
it.
to Taylor Swift at the end and say that he's retiring, did he?
Like, I'm
He
just
did.
grateful I
No.
don't-
He has to propose next year.
Somebody believes my nonsense.
Yeah, actually true. Like
Move it in.
I seen a post after that from Taylor Swift.
Alright, guys. Join the game, join the game.
Because
We
she got
only
booed,
see-
it was like,
anyways, we only
why
see-
does- why does everyone feel like they have to have the, why does everyone have to boo
I don't know. I'm
at
gonna grab a
the
drink
laws
though.
that
I'm gonna grab a
you
drink,
would.
so be right back.
someone down?
Because she's literally put her romantic life on display since forever.
I mean, that's all of her
This
music
song
is
is
about.
She's
That's
gonna
why.
dump. He's
Yeah.
gonna dump that
That too.
loser because technically he's a loser now, and go for with a
Oh
world
my
champion.
Flint.
Oh really?
Um,
It's not like I'm glad I'm friends with Flint, so
Is
because
it me?
I can
or
get a
is her
room in that
chair-
I'm
mansion.
moving in.
I had that massive mansion, you know. I'll get at least
What,
one
Jamie?
room.
Is it me or does her chair look like a person's head? Like you got the hair and then the
It's just you.
the shoulders.
It
Yeah,
actually
it's
looks
just-
more like a cloak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she has a blanket over it actually. Yeah. it's
But
because-
I can't
Examining the chair.
wrote
Oh,
that
here we go.
Taylor Swift.
Run,
Yeah.
run, run.
Yeah, but I put a kappa. I'm just joking.
I know, but
It's actually
This
my
worked
Twitch.
so well.
What do you got
It's
there,
my Twitch
Mono?
blanket.
What do you
It
What do you
works
got there?
very well.
A
You're not
blanket.
sharing nothing. No. Drink.
I
What drink you
have.
got there?
I have. Reds.
Hold on.
It's
hold on.
appropriate.
Right, yeah.
Everything's red today,
Heck
so.
yeah.
Hey,
Heck yeah.
And then I have
Red.
Cider.
Cider too. It has
You know what?
whiskey in it,
Fuck
but
it.
It's still good.
Sour Patch straws.
All right,
They're
fuck
red.
it. I might
Green.
be recovering, but I'm gonna go get a strong Coke.
Here, go get a drink. Just one. Just one.
Apples are good.
Taylor
for you.
splits. Oh, and then I have these
Alcohol's good
peach
for you too,
flavored
Sorry. Yeah.
or Momo flavored Oreos that I might open.
Juice.
I don't know. Momo's not here.
Oh my god, are those what?
Peach flavored Oreos.
Where are they from?
Gross.
Japan.
I'm not sure.
Sounds unpleasant.
I think it's Japanese.
Yeah, that looks
yeah.
Japanese.
Japanese.
I
or
went to the
Chinese.
Asian market. They had
Oreos,
all the
wow.
different kinds.
That's
So
definitely English.
a language.
Wait,
Apple
you
juice,
read that?
yes. It's apple juice.
It's just cursive.
Water. It's good for
Well,
me.
when the doctor said get an apple, you know, a
He
day
didn't
keeps
even
the
notice.
doctor away.
Okay.
It didn't
Yeah.
describe where the apple is. It
Hey.
could be in reds. It could be.
Of your eye. Or your eye. Apple your eye.
I bet
I don't
This
want an
either
apple in my
says
eye. My eye is too small. for
made
that.
with real fruit, cream, or peaches or something. Who knows? I need to like scan it.
Real fruit. It's
on.
very natural.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's a little kind of a dairy
Oh, hold it back up.
splash.
Much
I can
natural
translate.
Fruit.
There you go.
No added colouring. Something show that.
Seems
Only
like
97
he's
calories.
What is that
It's
weird
not really-
toe sticking out at the bottom?
It's not.
What do you mean a toe?
The peach?
It's a
Toshio
Peach
It's
slice.
a peach slice.
You're just thinking
white
about
peach
toes. I'm
oolong
curious.
flavor. Is
White
actually what
peach
it's called.
oolong pear. So it's peach tea. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's peach tea.
dang. Who
Hence
wants
the
that between a couple of chocolate biscuits, huh?
The state of being slain.
Water, why would
Thank
I
you.
had a joke somewhere with the chocolate biscuits, but I couldn't
Chalky!
think of it quick enough.
Oh no.
Hey,
Oh, I
Battlecat
think
won.
Yay!
Didn't realize.
I got second because I
Darn you.
pushed you in.
I'm like, why is the
What do
time
you get
lag
for
going
splashing
up?
me
And I'm
water?
like,
Yeah,
oh, wait, that's
Battlecat
'cause
got
I'm drunk.
first. Oh, you guys swimming in the
I got
bowl. I'm not
second.
even paying
I didn't
attention.
consent.
Michigan,
Yeah,
I saw what you
sure.
put.
Ask somebody.
Michigan, I saw what you put in chat, and I
Cheers.
went to type out Taylor, me and Thor's last name, and then I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah,
do
Maybe
that.
you shouldn't
Dude,
do
I actually
that.
thought about my last name too.
Probably not. Probably not.
I actually thought about my last name too for a second, and I was like, wait a minute, I probably shouldn't. I did the same thing actually.
Y'all can just ship
I
with
know
each
what it
other
is.
instead. It
I
is the day of
With
love.
my,
I see you, Rose. It's
gamer
okay.
name,
Let's see
you
who
know
I
what
ship with.
I
I
get it.
ship with Lemon. So it's a
Yeah.
cat drop or a kimono drop or a lemon cat.
Aw.
Yeah, we're shipping, Flint.
I want to ship.
You love
Oh,
Oh,
it.
okay,
there's little
that's fine.
2-packs. Yay.
I'm
I don't
okay
have to
with
eat
that.
all of them.
It's been a while since that's happened.
It's been a while.
I got the best one.
Lady Chips
glad
Machine.
Yep,
Aww.
I got my sing song, hubby. That's fine.
I gotta
Michigan
stop- I
Bruce.
gotta stop eating these.
Chips with Fred.
Uh-oh. Is Fred still
Oh.
here?
Mhm.
No, there's actually two of us are going with Fred.
I was
Uh-huh,
gonna say, there's a
losers.
little love triangle.
Wow, wow,
Oh.
wow. Oh, yeah,
Are y'all
I should
ready
get
to see who
ready
gets the
play
key?
Before I walk away.
I'm definitely not
Oh.
getting the key.
I'm not.
Alright.
I only got one win.
Yeah, I only got one win.
I got 0
I
wins.
think I
These
only
are
have one.
actually really good.
Wow.
I would
the,
totally buy the peach Oreos
participation
again.
is Killing me. Why is it going so long?
I don't know.
What do you mean?
That's what she
Fred.
said.
I don't think that's ever what she said.
No,
Yeah.
It's
It was
usually-
just a perfect.
that
it
was
a perfect timing.
faster.
It was
What?
great timing.
That's all it was. This is good
Whoa.
timing. We'll
Good
stick
job,
with that.
Splits. Can you say that again?
The heck?
Yeah, you're gonna be a.
Alright, drum roll. Here we go. Let's see who gets
Hey,
this.
hey, Michigan, is that
Third
ever what
place
she
goes
said
to
you?
Lady Rain.
I have no comment because we're live.
Should've been
but
first.
afterwards,
Second
whatever.
place goes to Splints.
Oh,
Disney
no.
Sheepy Ball. And
We didn't
first
win.
we were so
place
close to a key.
goes to. Can you guys guess who you gonna call it? I think I know who it is.
I'm gonna say.
It's definitely
I'm gonna
Michigan
say
Dreams.
Battlecat. I don't
I'm
know.
gonna say
It's not
Dreams.
yet.
I'm gonna say
I know
It might be
Battlecat.
Dream.
Yeah, I
It
only
might
won
be
one.
Dream. Yeah.
Oh,
Let's
no,
find
I-
out.
I won one too.
Nowhere. Congrats. GG.
Run.
Nobody said
Yeah.
you. 'Cause
It's job
How
run.
the heck did I? How did I? Win?
I don't know. You have the most
knows?
points. That means you excelled at the most difficult map. Mhm,
Well,
mhm.
if he's my friend, does that like count for a win for me?
You're already unshipping us. Damn.
How rude.
GG, yes.
I need to change
Alright.
my wax.
Yeah,
Oh,
you need better
goodness.
wax.
Yeah.
Right.
It's too late.
We're only gonna do 3 this time. So I can give away more keys.
Mm-mm.
Oh, I see
Play.
what you mean. Efficiency. Yeah.
Top
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
We
This
love
shit's-
efficiency. It's my
Mhm.
one of my favorite words.
That's my word. I have that
Efficiency.
tattooed right here.
Oh,
Oh.
next tattoo idea.
Yeah,
Rose,
yeah.
I'm not gonna say it out here, but there's a new song for Loose
Alright.
Friends.
Joffron,
What's
I am
that?
going to
There's a
Oh.
new song
DM
for Loose
you your
Friends, but I'm
key.
not gonna say it out loud here.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, we don't want to do that. Yeah.
I'll send it to you when I come back.
Is this the song that I don't
I'm gonna
know
use the
about now?
kimono ball or marble because it might give me a little bit. I don't know.
And if you already have the game,
I only have 2
feel
songs.
free to give it away to somebody else.
Did
Or
you
if you
guys come up
decide
with
it's
another
not
song
something
and I
you want to
didn't know
play,
about
feel
it?
free to give it away.
What?
Well, that's message stuff. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Nothing. Nothing. Drugs.
Nothing.
Oh, I need to hit start.
That usually
Right?
Just a little bit.
did I?
Just a tiny bit.
What's
Don't
this?
look to to see how many
What's the
races
game?
I've been in.
How many races has he been in? How many races has Shocky been in?
5 million.
Bazillion.
Probably. He cheats.
Does that
He-
throw
he
the
probably-
number that appears above your head when I like click on you later?
Guys, I'm gonna hit the sack.
At 3,000 something.
I feel
Good
better.
night, Paint.
Dream, drink water. Thank you.
Don't hit me.
Night,
Kill it.
guys.
Bye. Hope you feel better.
Hey, happy Valentine's
Night.
Day. Take care of yourself. Love you.
Hugs and
Thank
kisses.
you for being here. Take care.
XOXO. Gossip
Thank you
Girl.
for the water.
What's Valentine's? Hugs and kisses.
Hugs and kisses.
Mm-hmm.
All the hugs
You know
and
what
kisses.
underrated are the little candy hearts? Those things are so fucking.
Oh, they are good.
Hugs.
Yeah.
That's what I
don't
have right
can them
here. A
anymore.
whole
Yes.
thing
Me
of
too.
them.
I know where Jamie lives, so I'm gonna go over there and steal it.
Heck yeah.
Oh, there go.
You know those are made out of crushed earwigs, right?
Oh,
my
no.
God.
And they're
I don't wanna hear
delicious.
I didn't even buy hardly any Valentine's candy this year. The only kind I
No,
bought
Rishi heart.
was
I haven't bought any.
Reese peanut butter cup
Yeah, the
hearts.
Rishi
That
hearts.
was all I bought.
Yeah.
But that's my
Like
favorite.
the Easter eggs, they're
Yeah,
way
yeah.
bigger.
Rishi hearts are also my favorite. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
Guys,
Easter egg
put
ones
those in
are
the freezer.
Shapes.
the large
And that
ones.
too.
Yeah.
Peanut butter.
I'm gonna start drooling here.
They have the
I
perfect peanut butter to
Don't
chocolate
like
ratio.
chocolate and peanut butter together. Like I do not like Reese's. I don't know
Really?
why. I don't.
It takes
Um,
all
we can't be
time.
friends anymore.
And
takes
it's
all
also
time.
why I don't like Buckeyes. And so I got
Yeah, I
a
don't
whole
like the
freaking
Buckeyes
thing of
either.
Buckeyes for
Good.
Dalton.
I don't like the Buckeyes either, so it makes
Which
sense.
cookies did you get you?
I am shooketh.
He didn't get me cookies.
No.
He did. So he got me. He got me
I mean, it has
Twizzlers,
been
but
years
he
since
got
I
me
really
those
played.
weird like filled Twizzlers, and I won't touch them because I don't
Oh.
like the texture of those filled Twizzlers.
Yeah, I'm
Huh.
not. Yeah.
They have a very different texture, and it is not great.
Yeah, we all have different palettes. Yeah.
Shocky, did you already fall off the track? How am I supposed to see how many games you played?
Can I at least win one? Jeez, okay.
Or races?
No.
Lemon, your shoes untied. Whoa, she just went.
Why am I at the end?
You know
How
how I
rude.
do.
I was like, can lemon?
Wow.
Water with the
me
loves.
win.
Thank you, Water.
Never
Again,
mind.
How rude. No, I-
Let's see.
I was doing good until all of a sudden people started using powers and stuff.
It's not one.
Boost. Anybody use boost?
Yeah,
yet?
that's what I call
Can't stop,
power.
won't stop.
There you go.
I didn't know you can't. Hold on a minute.
Oh, we have a boost
Idiot
now.
right
You know what you have to do before you drink?
Open it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could do the shotgun and just.
Look at this.
Yeah,
Look who's
You know,
first in the bowl.
Through an aluminum like tumbler.
No, you stab right through that.
Not with that attitude.
Lemon won, and I think it's rude.
That's
I
very
mean,
defeated.
I have done
Oh,
amazing
I
things
fell off.
before, but
I fell off, didn't I?
That's also classified.
How fucking rude.
when I was working the dish pit once, I did
I
stab
fell
a knife
off.
through the workstation.
It's okay, I fell off with
Lemon's
Shocky.
right in it. Come on.
Oh, did I
Yep.
come out?
It's
Oh.
like a
Second
Soccer's
place
falling
again.
off.
Sorry.
Plinko thing.
Well, Plinko is down a board with nails, but yeah,
We
it's
need the drug
same
test
idea.
lemon. We have to. Because she
This
had
one
that
is
power
spherical
boost
and
of
has
that
paddles.
ejection that she used. Yeah.
So gravity comes into play more.
Oh,
so
there I am.
What?
I'm somewhere in there.
it's still a cool idea, though.
It
This
is
is-
flashbacks to when I had to get drug tested crash van
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah, we're gonna have to drug test you now because
Mischievous.
that power
Ian Rain
thing.
are
We do be
Does it
partying.
work?
partying.
Oh yeah, I years ago when I worked at the retirement home, I
Jeez,
crashed,
did
I
not
had- we
finish.
took
You
the
still fell off
residents
right
on
at
an
the beginning.
outing, and I crashed the bus twice in one day. No,
Oh
it was
my
after.
God.
It was fine.
Race is 173.
Oh God.
Is
And
that
it
just
wasn't
the
like
season?
a crash. The first one I
It was
took
just
off
a-
the mirror of a commercial truck. The second one nobody
Or
was
just
on the
this
bus,
track?
and I like took out the. It was a handicap
Because
like
look at radio.
wheelchair,
1,836.
mini
He forgot
bus
the handicap.
size
Six!
van. Like it was a
welcome.
bus. Like it wasn't a van.
That's just
um,
this track. Okay.
and I was pulling out of the parking spot. And you know the
Season.
little
Oh.
part of the car that
Oh.
like sticks out
Oh.
of the door, like the little strip.
1,800.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
The
Yeah,
season
I
radio.
took the whole
Dang.
thing of the car next to me out while
Oh, you.
trying
Yeah,
to
they're
get out.
definitely gonna have to drug test you 2 in one day, or
Oh
2.
my
Yeah,
God.
drug test you.
There was no rear view window because of the lift for
Yeah.
the wheelchairs,
Of
and
course, yeah.
there's no backup camera because it was too old of a bus, and the
So
mirror.
technically, your company should have had a spotter for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's their fault.
No,
So it's really not your fault.
all I'm
There
saying
were
right
2 of us
Mm.
taking 10 residents, like in assisted living dementia residents, not just like independent living residents. There's 2 of us.
Wow.
It's terrible.
Oh my
It was in-
God.
Tennessee, and they're
yeah.
up in
I-
Montana.
I,
I'm going to Tennessee today.
Okay, we're opening now.
I know how hard that is.
Sour
That
fishes.
sucks.
Will you
Yeah,
let
it
me
was
go
not
pack
a
a
great
bag before we go on this trip? Let's go back in the house while I pack my bag.
I tell you what,
Oh
if I had
Oh,
alloys
shit.
in
I
my
gotta
car,
get in.
you would not be
No,
fucking
that's
right.
the wrong.
I didn't get in. Dang it.
Post.
no!
What?
You did.
I wasn't paying attention.
No,
Like,
I think
if I had alloys in my
something
car,
like
you would not be fucking driving.
What did you
Not a chance.
post?
What's that curb?
Splits.
What the?
Split.
Ugh.
I copied and pasted something else.
What the?
That's what he copy and
Yeah, no,
pasted,
I
not
know.
what he meant to say. I didn't permit it. That was Lady Rain.
Oh, I definitely permitted
Oh
that
my
one. 'cause
God.
it's
Oh my
hilarious.
God.
Delete it.
We need
What
to
is-
make that a
I don't
quote.
know.
We need to make that a
We were talking
quote.
about that earlier.
What the heck?
Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome,
That's a
welcome.
hell of a day.
Thank you for
That's
the
a hell of a
follow.
fucking Amazon, hell of a fucking Valentine's Day comment.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody thinks it's way worse than it is, but it's
There we
totally
go.
innocent.
That sounds like something you would
Yeah,
look up on
like, blue waffle.
Urban
Blue
Dictionary.
waffle, mate.
Well, anyways, at least,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds like an Urban Dictionary thing, dude.
at least Lemon knows now. Yes, that's
Dude,
the most
all
important.
I did was I hit Control V Enter. I didn't even
Love,
think
love,
about it.
love,
Oh,
cute
no.
teddy bear.
Oh, you quoted me on it? What the fuck?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now we get to see it
We're
every.
committed to it now.
Every
Lord,
community
Lord.
night.
Stuck with it.
Oh no! This wasn't
You
even
do
my
random
creation.
quotes.
You can blame Wiggles for this one.
I don't know him, so it's all
I mean,
you.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it sounds
Not
like
here to help, so it's all you
How do you
now.
say- say
I can't believe I just
surface?
did that.
Oh,
Oh shoot, not that
Surface?
link. Oh wait a minute.
God, I was
No.
crying laughing and
what
my
was-
dog was.
I can't find you guys. You're like shooting all over the place.
I am.
I was forced and I just
Because
fell off.
now I'm realizing what you mean because Splits, I just looked at the DMs.
Yes. And now you know why. And now you know why. Oh god.
It lives in
Hey,
most
mistakes
places
I
happen.
now.
fell off too.
I
There
think
was
everybody's
another one,
invisible.
too, that was
See. Let's see what random quote we pull up from our community nights.
I'm not gonna
I'm just
say it.
glad. I'm
Oh,
just glad
yep.
this community is
Oh,
open
Women's
about-
favorite.
Oh, I remember when Thor said that. Yep. I was there.
Always,
Classic.
always quote 42. It's the best
Mhm.
one.
A lot.
I'm pretty sure he said
That's
that
actually
too.
a really good one. That's
Oh.
a good one because we
Hey,
all
help a
know
picture and
what
everybody
course
go.
that is.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Chucky? I was wondering where you all were hiding at.
Oh my god! I can't believe I friggin' pasted that. What the hell?
Alright,
So
Seraphy has
Luckily, it
funny.
wasn't something else.
I accidentally hit the
Even
alt
worse.
key and everybody
I don't-
disappeared. See, watch.
God.
Vanish. Boom. Gone.
At least
I
this
know
is an
you.
18+ stream.
Right?
Right?
What was the one that Joe said the other night?
Oh yeah, that's classified also.
Not anymore. It's not. Tell us.
No,
I'm not the one who
I
came
cannot
up with
say that.
either, so don't look at me.
I cannot actually say that out loud right now. Yes.
6 comes
Well,
in,
that's why
joins,
Flip
first race, gets
got
first
DM'd
place.
in rain.
At least there's hearts
and
on this
pasted
track.
it in
Flint's
chat.
knows
Any more
why.
hearts? Or just that
Flint's
one?
could
I
help
guess
me
it's just that one.
on that one. Type it
Pretty,
out
though.
there.
We found a
Now
purple
it's
heart
quoted
for
in
Valentine's
chat.
Day.
I wouldn't
I did-
dare.
Well,
It's
live it into
beautiful.
me.
Dude, someday that quote's
Congrats,
gonna come up and
6.
everybody's gonna be like,
Also,
"Why did
guys,
you
I'm giving
say
away
that?"
Steam
Oh,
keys
you
tonight.
never
If you get
know.
first place on the podium, look at that, killing it. Yes. If you get first place on the podium, one more race, you get a game tonight.
Oh,
Alright,
oh
I've
God, no, not
replaced
me
my
over here
clipboard.
almost pasting it too.
Everybody just
I was about to say, you
Don't
could easily do it.
copy paste
Yes,
multiple
yes, please make me
things
feel better
while
by
you're
all
racing,
saying
or you're
in
gonna
chat.
paste the wrong text in chat, guys. Only copy and paste play. Just word of advice, cause if you're
Yeah,
a
we
mod,
have some
it's not
people
gonna get
here.
blocked. It's just gonna
Hold on,
totally
yeah.
get pasted.
Yeah, we have some people here that no names here, but
Oh, I can't believe I did that.
Great, I love it.
my eyes
Well-
are burning.
that made
Right.
Valentine's.
Like,
You
you
made
could
our
play
This is
it
the
Valentine.
last race of the
And then
Grand
that's
Prix.
what I post instead of
Winner
play.
gets a Steam key. I'm
Well, you
giving
made
away
the
multiple
Valentine
Steam keys tonight. So thank you for being here. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
I love how Mono's eating a Sour Patch straw. I bet you it's grape, ain't it?
Mm-mm.
No, it's
Maybe
not
Well,
grape.
this is-
What is it?
Strawberry
should
and
be-
watermelon.
Oh, it's
red.
just the. Oh, okay, it's a combo one.
It's the big pack.
Seen those in a long time.
Mmm. I
Yep.
thought it was one of the little ones
I
in the
used to
snack
go
drawer.
to Blockbuster
You were supposed to
and
split it
get a
with me, but you were
movie
sick.
and some sour
Oh, yeah.
straws and a video
Mhm.
game, and that was a hell of a weekend. You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I miss Blockbuster.
Right?
I do too.
I
You
have
get
a
super
copy
excited
of
to go there like a
Transformers
kid,
Revenge
like,
of
as
the
a kid.
Fallen that
And
is
then you
from
find out that the movie you
Blockbuster.
want is all rented out.
Yeah, you
Oh.
go there like, yeah, we're gonna watch this movie.
Or the
and then-
wrong movie is in the case.
It's in the case, yeah.
I do
Yeah.
miss.
Man.
I do miss.
Oh.
Oh, me and my dad are gonna watch this movie. You know, like the excitement of just going to Black.
Cheers.
It's so simple, but so good.
And the way they
never-
smelled, they always smelled of brand new carpet glue.
Yeah.
I never had like a real Blockbusters near me, but we had like a small or family-owned video rental store. So
Yeah, we had
that was
family
always fun.
video.
Well, so you understand the joy.
Yeah,
still, like,
we had
it's the same idea.
Blockbuster, and then
Yeah.
Blockbuster was replaced by Family Video.
Home Vision Video was another one. and
Maybe
then
that's another
Hollywood
thing.
Video.
Yeah, I don't
There
know
were
if
a bunch of
Family
them.
Video is still open though.
No, I do miss that because you're so excited because a new
I
movie
was just
comes out,
going to
me
the
and my
movie,
dad watch it.
the movie place in general.
I'm just listening to
Just,
everybody
not,
talk.
just going to the movie place and picking out a movie. And now you don't do that. Now you can't do that anymore because
Seriously, they all smelled like carpet glue.
It did.
Trying to think because I never.
You walk
smelled
in, you're
it.
like, time to make a movie decision.
Yeah, it's time to make sure I
I wonder
take
if
it back
that
in time.
Family Video is still open. Oh no,
No, it got
they
closed
closed
down.
it.
Yeah.
There are so few left in the
They
country
closed
anyway.
it
It's
4
very
years
hard to
ago.
do it, yeah, because movies come out so quickly now. Because
well, and streaming
Look
service
at you.
kind of killed.
Is when you have the obscure movies.
That's
you have
so
stuff
cool.
that you can't find on
But I-
streaming services, right? That's when they come to you.
yeah, you got the exclusive. Yeah,
Serpius
the,
is really
that
Oh,
too.
wait, am I supposed to put in a new play?
That's so cool.
No.
no, not yet.
No, it's too late now.
Effect.
Okay. Didn't I get in?
It's
No?
a snow globe. It's like a little.
Oh,
snow
I
globe.
love the little
That's what someone
turtle.
says. I don't know.
There's a
think I
sleeping
did.
turtle. Hey, turtle. There's a
turtle.
sleeping turtle.
I like Toidles.
Photo.
Mhm.
Plasma.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Mine turtle. I fucking love Mine Turtle.
I still can't believe
Did you say, wait, did you say Mine Turtle?
I did.
Mine.
Oh, I was thinking like German, like Mein Turtle, like MEIN.
No, the ASDF movies.
Yup.
Ah,
Hello, Mine Turtle.
Oh.
No, we lost radio.
I didn't win. Lemon
lost
won
Rain.
again.
I have videos.
Yeah,
so I don't need
it's
it.
okay.
You got
Because
burnt.
Lemon's cheating.
well, if I had put my name in the fucking chat last time, I might have won this round.
All right, this is
One
it.
there.
Another key being given away.
I never won today.
I think Lemon's
I'm
gonna
getting
win the
bullied.
whole thing. I think it's gonna be.
You
right.
think it's lemon? You
I
calling
didn't
it?
play the second round.
That doesn't matter.
Somehow you'll still
It's that
win.
race where any race where a bunch of people fall off. That person gets like more points if they win.
Oh.
At least that's what I feel like. Lady with third place again.
At least you're on. At least you're on the.
You're on the
podium.
Yeah, but I want
Sick.
one.
Second place
I don't know
goes
what
to
Steam
Get
key
on
I'm
the
getting,
podium.
but I want a Steam key.
6. And first place goes
Excellent.
to Gigi.
GG.
Congrats. Congrats.
Definitely,
You're so
definitely
lucky.
rigged.
Thank
Does
you.
she
Thank
know
you
ya?
much.
There she
Yes.
goes.
No, you have to thank your cat. You have to thank your cat.
I'd like to
Welcome.
thank
It's a
Crowley
Jade
for
raid.
the good luck.
Yeah, yep. I will.
Welcome,
Nope,
raiders.
we don't need to drink
Welcome.
this.
Happy
Yeah, that-
Valentine's Day. Welcome, beautiful humans. Welcome to the stream. We're playing marbles tonight for Steam keys. Happy Valentine's, everyone. Happy Valentine's. Welcome. Yes, it's so good to see you. Hi, girl. Hi, Jade. It's so awesome to see you. I hope you had
Oh, I
a
need to
wonderful
kiss
stream. Oh, your costume. Thank you.
I'll be right back.
Love that
I
ears.
kissed myself.
Yeah. Just kind of dressed up and put on some ears. Sorry. Thank you, though. I felt like it was the day. It was the day to do that. Hi, KimonoKat. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you so much. Computed fungus. Thank you.
Pickle. Sorry.
We welcome all.
That sounds fun.
We welcome all. The raid alert didn't go
I didn't
off.
know you could compute fungus.
Oh,
That's
now
all.
it did. Oh, I could hear it on my side. So weird. Maybe it's just a delayed. Maybe Twitch is being Twitch. Good luck, Shocky. Happy B-Day. You look so cute. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. If you're new to my stream, welcome. Variety streamer. I play community games, and then on Sundays I play a lot of chill games like Stardew Valley. I occasionally do art streams. Welcome, everyone.
Oh, cool.
Kawaii, thank you. Great to see you too. Yes. Thank you again. Thank you for sending the love this way. I very much appreciate it. Alright, we're gonna go on to the next map. If you guys want to join and play, it's very simple. It's just gonna be exclamation play.
I definitely did play too
You
early.
just paste something random from your clipboard and see what happens.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
well.
Now
I'm
you
not
can hit
doing
play.
that.
You started playing Stardew Valley again, right? I'm so addicted to that game. We didn't do anything, just listen to love songs. Oh, that sounds adorable. I love that.
I guess it doesn't matter.
That sounds
how
like a good
single you are.
Valentine's.
Okay, Brooke.
I love
can't
watching you
see.
play Genshin, though.
I love you.
I really do.
I love you.
Mona,
Did we give
speaking of
Jade a
songs,
shout out?
I think it did it on its own.
I
Did
can't.
it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it did or didn't.
It all automated.
Look.
Look, our jobs are easy. We don't have to do
And
shit.
the bot does everything.
Shoutouts. Bots do
But
it all
yes,
for us.
exclamation play, guys. Get your marble on the track. Join us. Thanks for the lurk, Water.
It's the wrong
It's so
person.
good to see you. I hope you get
That's
lots of
not-
rest and have a happy Valentine's.
I'm trying to do something funny.
Talk to you later. Okay.
Identical
Have a
to
great
when I
stream.
said in
Thank
30
you so
minutes.
much again. Thank you.
Or 30 seconds, rather.
Oh, catch Pokemon, guys. Catch your Pokemon. Catch.
No, stop.
I must
Also,
share.
Before
Must
you.
spread the word.
79.
Oh, we're
is
burning
10
Lady's
more
butt.
nights
She's
than-
being bad.
Mona, speaking of songs, since it's the day and the outfit, you know what song comes to mind?
What?
Like Dean Martin, That's Amore.
Amore.
When the
Yeah,
moon
that's a good
hits your eye,
Mm-hmm.
the big
That's
piece of
amore.
fire.
Is that the one they sing with like all the Italian pasta songs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know I want some pasta.
It's in Lady and the Tramp. Yes.
Yes. Hot biscuits are... What the heck, Frosty Tools?
What?
What?
What is going on with Frosty Tools?
I don't know.
It's drunk. It's
Ad break.
Valentine's.
What did it do? I don't see Frosty Tools. Oh,
When it's an ad break, it
telling
does
us
random.
The Hot Biscuit was a notable cafe in the legendary soap opera Dallas.
Oh yeah,
because
I love
we
Dallas.
needed
That
to
was a
know
good one.
that.
I don't know.
Oh, it's because during the ad it
Oh,
asked
I can't
which
shout out.
iconic soap opera featured a local eatery known as the Hot Biscuit.
Yeah.
Oh my
You don't
God.
have
It gave us a
permission.
question and answer. It's entertaining the ad people.
I guess.
Are you not entertained?
It's doing something. I don't know if it's entertaining, but it's doing something.
Uh-oh. Lemon
I
lost
caught
her
the
glasses.
Pokemon.
Shenanigans are
Notice.
Whoa,
happening.
whoa, whoa.
Shenanigans. Ooh.
Why you gotta pick up on that? And thank you
Oh.
for noticing. Hold on.
I saw, but I wasn't gonna say nothing.
Well, yeah, there's no way we can, because we would probably get killed.
Blind. She can't see without.
Why are we moving
What
so
happened
slow
to
through this
them?
course?
Because it makes my brain happy. I don't know.
Like we're crawling
Meow.
right now. Kimono, sorry.
Hmm?
Yeah,
Yeah, your balls are touching.
our balls were touching.
Man, I walk away for 5 seconds.
balls.
See what happens when you put your glasses back on. Who knows?
What? You're like Superwoman, almost like. What? Who are you? Whoa.
Uh.
that's weird.
I mean, I can see. It's just the I can't see well. Oh.
I can't see worth crap without mine either. So
There
I'm
you go.
nearsighted,
Splint.
so
There's a
I
quote for
never,
you.
But I
I
should.
can no longer see anybody on my screen. It's just I can't.
So,
pick up
dude, I
most faces
normally
anymore.
do that, but
I loaded a quote just for you, Splints.
How come that doesn't say who said it?
Because it was probably Mona who said it.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes if it was me. I
was
don't
gonna
know. I
say-
don't know that I said that. Maybe I did. Who knows?
You probably did. It was.
I think
4
in the
years
beginning
ago.
they were only
Yeah.
quoting me, so they didn't put the name.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh well, see though that's like
Now we quote whoever we
Something
want.
really foul. That's lovely.
that's a
Especially
good quote.
Splint.
Mhm.
he's
Yeah.
gonna be. Yeah, he's gonna be the one that we always talk about. And years and
Remember
years.
the time he said,
I mean, of all the quotes. that
Well,
you could've
Dreams
brought
get
up,
some cookies
don't
tonight.
regret.
Can somebody at least let me win? I just want to win
No.
one. Just one.
I'm not playing
all I
this
need.
round, so maybe you will.
Yeah, well, good.
Rude. Dreams
"That
gets
is
1,000
probably the
cookies
most
because
embarrassing
earlier
thing I've ever
I
said in
hugged a
chat."
bot.
I've said a lot of embarrassing things.
Get in, get
There you go,
in.
Michigan.
Yes. Sorry. Whew.
Rude. No one had hugs.
Right?
Also, why does he get 1,000?
Because I hugged a
rude. I
bot
thought
at
it
the
was
beginning of
500.
stream.
Oh.
I hit the wrong
That's
key.
rude.
I hit the wrong key and hugged a
I'm
bot.
gonna go call my mom real quick.
Alright. Michigan, water, and turtle.
I fell off.
Yeah.
Oh,
I fell off.
So there's a turtle that lives in Michigan water. Got it.
I think 2,000 hugs.
Those 3 names. Michigan water and a turtle.
Alright. At least it's in Michigan.
I don't want to be rude, but one of the words or quotes that someone said the other night was how to do something with a sprained anus.
Oh, I don't know.
How
who
do you
said
do
that.
something
That's
with a
classified.
sprained anus? That sounds very uncomfortable, to be honest.
That is
That
classified.
does sound very.
Wasn't it? Sprained
Also,
ankles?
how do you sprain your anus?
You don't.
I don't know. 'cause it
Don't
wasn't me
know that I
created
want
it.
to know.
You don't.
Probably in
wanna-
a stupid way, like me walking the fucking dog and spraying people.
Just saying, you don't want to know.
Falling down the stair.
Exclamation play, guys. Get your marble on the track. Exclamation
I mean,
play.
can you imagine turning up to doctors? Yeah, sorry, I got a sprained anus. How'd you get that happen? Well, I fell down the stairs.
onto the railing.
Yeah, accidentally had
the
my
whole
clothes
railing
off.
somehow.
What?
I don't know.
My clothes accidentally fell off.
I think that'd be a little more than a sprain.
I literally
Full
almost just
railing.
spilled out my drink.
Making people
Possibly,
spill their
like,
drinks over
what's
there.
That, what's that movie? Like, not sudden death. You know what I mean, though. It's the one that's like.
Final Destination.
Yes, thank you.
Let's check out
Where
this
you
track.
can't drive behind a truck with the logs on it.
It's got lots of
Yep, can't do that.
I'm like,
purple spaghetti noodles
doing
or
that
rice
shit.
noodles.
Do you know what's funny? I just got myself a new tonner van, which is like a larger van, right? And
Oh,
because
this is
it's
interesting.
taller,
There's a planet and there's a
like,
black hole.
it's more top heavy. Whenever we've got wind, it kind of fucking wants to go.
Ooh, look at
Right,
Six.
thing, right?
Sneaking
It's not
out
quite
there.
like, you know, it's not
Using
as big as
mod
the van that
hacks.
you're into, you know, the logger
Take
vans,
the
but see,
lead.
whenever the logger vans go past now, you can kind of feel it want to go, whoa, like that
Six,
little
I
wobble.
swear to the gods,
So,
if you win this shit,
I've never had the fear of
gonna be
like
some
a log or
Grease.
a log coming
Well, I'm
off
right
the
behind you,
Lightning.
so.
See, now that I'm driving this larger van, I'm kind of like,
Oh, we just lost
okay,
track
just
here.
give it a bit of a wider
jumped.
berth than what I would if it was my normal van or my
Rip.
other van.
Yeah, no, not for me.
Yeah,
Not
I mean,
after my wheelchair van debacle. I'm good.
You haven't got yet. You
I've
were.
got no fear. I've got no fear of it at all.
Hey, if
when
it
I go
makes you
past
feel
them.
better, I backed my friend's van into a bollard. You know, like the concrete, like steel wrapped pillars.
Yeah.
And I
Didn't know
busted the
that's what
shit
that
out
is
of
called.
his chrome bumper on his work van.
Oh.
Go, go,
And then
go.
when I drove up to him, I got out and I'm like, "Hey, I think I hit something." And we went around and looked at it, and he goes, "You think?"
Oh, God.
Dude, there's you think?
I was like,
Whoa, I
"Yeah,
got kind
I'll
of
play you
pulled
into
in
it."
there.
I did. One of my coworkers
I'm
also
still trying to
crashed
figure out why
the
there's a
bus,
planet
but at
there.
the Biltmore estate. And so when you you Shane's face, he
Gun
knows.
show.
Oh,
All
God.
right.
When you drive it to
I don't know if you're
Biltmore, there's
prepared
like
for this
there's like this kind of
muscularness.
statue. So it's like a
Duck?
circle parking lot, like that you drop off people, and then like there's an actual parking lot off to the side. And in the circle, there's a statue right in the middle of the circle, and she hit the statue.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my
Dude, I
god.
was just saying I was protesting.
Oh,
I was just
no.
protesting.
Oh, there I am.
All right,
Was she like
good show. I don't know if you're prepared for
not
this.
watching out the windshield?
No, she was trying
Let's see
to.
these
So
All these
guns.
she was
non-muscles.
dropping off the residents, and so
You
she
see
was
these
like trying to pull
guns?
around, but she was too
Sorry.
Yes,
close to
they're
another car,
naked.
so she was trying to back up.
Got the
hit the
point.
statue and
Come on,
They
got the
usually
point.
clothes on. Now they're
I thought you
naked.
meant she
Thanks.
drove directly into it. I'm like,
No, Kimono, you have the point. Like, oh,
It was
hey,
like
Nice
a lot of
muscles.
cars in the circle.
I need to actually
have-
work out and get some muscles. So yeah.
It's weird. So like, there's a gas station.
We gotta see who's
in,
getting first place,
the
though.
town we were living in
Can I
Kansas.
go back?
And I only stopped there like if I was going out of town, because it was on the way out of
Wow.
town.
Guess that's why
And
your name starts with
I-
wow.
Had to loop around at one point, and I had to back up. And
Listen,
it's so
Cray
stupid. And I don't
Kratos.
understand why they had this giant ass median. It is huge. Like, you get out, and it's
Nobody
probably up
cares.
to my shoulder. Like, it's
Oh.
pretty big, right?
Congrats, GG.
I back into
Wow.
this,
better call your mom.
Right, Michigan.
not even realizing that I'm that close, and I'm like, oh.
Now we know why his name starts with
I
wow.
felt like just the tiny little bump. I'm like, oh hell no.
Nope, 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 nope.
No scratches, nothing on the car. Nothing.
Damn.
But I was so mad, and it was because
I did
how
not
they
finish.
have it is like it's supposed to separate you from like a fucking ATM.
Sorry.
I don't
Yeah,
think
because
I
there's a
finished
bank
either.
like right in the same fucking area. But like,
Yep, yep.
it's still like
that's
it
not a
locks
good
you
time.
from an
I'm
ATM.
so glad I was
Yeah.
on mute.
But you also have like this small amount of space
I have a lot
to
of
try and
I have a lot of things going
maneuver
in my brain right
Yeah.
and get gas.
I'm glad you have a lot of
fuck,
control over your brain right now.
now. Yeah, I do. Not
It
really.
was not my car.
Exclamation play, guys! Exclamation play to get your marble on the track! Exclamation play!
I
Or
really wish I
copy
could say it was
pasta!
car.
The
It was not
correct
my car.
things!
I'm surprised I even have it.
Rose,
Be
what I'm more
very
concerned
careful
about
what
is
you
why
copy
would
pasta.
somebody think it's a good idea
Don't
to
copy and
send
paste the
some,
wrong thing!
facility residents to Biltmore?
These were independent living residents. It was not.
Okay.
It was
Oh,
independent
okay.
assisted.
I'm listening to
nursing,
them.
Nursing, like it
Skill,
was.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, these were independently.
Okay. Oh, okay. I was a little worried there for a second.
Yeah, no, we're not that
Do,
terrible.
do, do,
It's like an overnight trip in Asheville.
I mean, honestly, my local, home
I
for
want
those type of
spaghetti,
people is
and I
just a
blame
maze,
Shane.
And like, as they get their way out, they get their meds, their food, and then they take a break, and it's just a maze. They keep going around and around.
Oh, bless.
Round and around.
To bring back an old conversation about spraining various body parts. After all this, after all my years in healthcare,
You're lucky. That's what you had for dinner,
so
Six?
many people's anuses that it's just not.
Have you ever felt a sprain one?
No, but I'm not. Never mind.
I'm actually the one
Never
that
mind.
created
Never mind.
I'm not gonna clarify what that means.
Maybe
Yeah,
herniated.
I actually created that
I
word.
actually
Those words.
apologize for bringing that subject up.
We're never letting
I
you go.
wanted.
It makes me
I
feel
wanted
better
to
about
mention.
what I said.
Anyways, I'm actually the one. I don't know why I said it, but I'm actually the one that said. I don't know why.
Where's my spaghetti, Six?
Michigan.
I want some pasta.
It made sense in the moment.
Did
I'll
you
say that much.
Share.
No, I think I couldn't find the word, so I just put a couple words together, and then that.
And they weren't the words that you wanted?
Pretty much.
I don't think that's words anyone wants.
Dang
No.
it.
Oh no, did I miss?
I don't think so.
No, I'm in.
Just cookies.
Did I miss some?
And candy.
I
brain
made it
is-
in.
Only because it's
My
Valentine's.
guys,
I have to start
14.
eating
I'm
good
so
again.
innocent over here, all right?
And why are you drinking?
I'm 14 years old.
You
What?
shouldn't
Why
be
am I drinking?
Yeah.
Because my dad bought me some beer.
Because he's a 14-year-old with a full beard. Explain that.
What
I
is
just
it?
have a lot of testosterone.
Theo.
Explain that.
She is FOMO.
I'm so grateful.
Actually,
For
chat, I
precision
am a lot older than that. I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
We're gonna send the.
He's so old, he's allowed to drink twice.
I
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Dude, that would be.
He's not that old, but he is older.
older.
He's not a young lad anymore,
He's
or
not
a
a
young man.
whippersnapper. He's not a
Mhm.
young whippersnapper.
Mm,
Yeah,
no,
I know.
definitely
I can
not
feel
a
it in my
whippersnapper.
bones.
He's more. He's
I
more
can
of
feel
a,
it in my
a
bones.
A
Yeah,
whippersnapper.
Yeah, I'll fucking show a whippersnapper.
Please don't.
Is that what you call it?
I'm a young whippersnapper.
Do you have a
Unless
whip?
it's Jack.
Don't answer that.
You have a whip? I actually want to know.
Unless
'cause
it's
can I
Jack, we
borrow
don't
it?
care.
Yeah, we're talking about shock. The
No, yeah,
The
like
whipper.
the proper
Yeah.
use of a
Mhm.
whip.
And
Not-
you fall
not
off
way
the
And,
you-
and what's the proper use of a whip?
Michigan's second must
Shock
be
is what
fixed.
it is.
Right, Tex?
Shock.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh, lucky marble.
For use
Mhm,
as a
mhm.
defensive weapon.
yes.
Did
Like
we
I was trying to
all
think
come to
proper.
What
the
else would it be? What do you think I was talking
confirmation
about?
that we all love each
Indiana
other?
Jones used it perfectly.
Can we do that?
Oh, we got to see Jack the Whipper, and he
Wow,
like does his
Jack's on-
show.
Hold
And-
up. He's
and
gotten
sings
two
to it.
tips
Jack's the
tonight.
whipper. Yeah.
It's rigged.
Damn.
It is rigged.
He
Wow.
uses these
Rigged.
whips, and he sings songs, and sometimes the whips are on fire, and then
Lana,
sometimes he
what's in
slices open a can with a whip, a soda
That was really
can.
fucking
Cut
cool.
it in
I was
half.
just
I
about
can do
to
that.
say
With
that,
a
but you
whip.
beat me to it, so I had to finish.
Only once in a while.
It was really cool.
Make stream work.
Splints, I heard that. And, no comment.
Apparently, that's why we were in the car for,
Yeah.
you know, a bazillion hours this weekend.
Yes.
To go see this whipping dude.
No.
Speaking of, he went live earlier. I wonder if he's still live.
I
See
haven't
if I can
followed
look
him
at
on
two
Twitch
faces.
yet.
Oh, I've been
I just-
following on
Oh
Twitch
my
for
God,
a
I'm
while.
actually turning red.
Pull catch.
Didn't mean
No,
that.
he's not.
I'm too
live.
drunk, Michigan. Catch the weird bug Pokemon thingamajig. Alright, Grand Prix. Final results.
Not me.
Who
Or
will
might get
win?
Second. I'm thinking I'm gonna get
Not
third
me.
place. I'm gonna get third place.
Okay, rule real quick. You only win one key tonight. If you've already won one, it goes to the second place person. Just
I
saying.
wanna be in
What if
third.
the second
Just
place?
an addendum to the legal status of.
If
it
it's the
goes to
second
the
place
third
person
place.
that's already won, then it goes to
goes
the
to the
third place
third.
person.
And
Yes.
then it goes to the fourth, and then fifth. And
No, then we're just screwed. Because I don't remember who the fourth person
Then you're
is.
screwed.
It
I
wants
say
to
I
be
got
Oh my
third.
god.
Reincarnated. I want to be Mono's chair. Oh
I
my
can't-
god.
Turtle.
And I got to work tomorrow. No,
No.
you
What,
gotta
you're ahead of
rest.
me. I'm gonna have to restart.
I'm lucky to pay his play.
Oh,
Okay.
that's a
GG.
thing to say,
Third
isn't
place
it?
goes to Whoa. Second
So
place
not
goes to Shane. Alright, alright. Who we calling it? Who gets first
Better than
place?
me. It's me.
I'm surprised I'm even on that podium.
Me.
I'm not trying to be
Probably
mean,
not,
but you guys
though.
deserve to be more.
Congratulations, Michigan! Congrats.
Rude.
GG.
I was not expecting that.
Alright.
Writing.
Who won the last
I-
one?
Balls up on the
I would like
stadium.
to thank my cat for giving me the support.
Jaffron won the first time. Who won the second time?
It's me. I won the second
Lemon.
time.
That's right, Lemon. I owe Lemon and Michigan a key. So don't let me
It looks
forget,
like a
guys.
cheating algorithm that messed
Okay,
up.
hold on.
Key to the city.
Jesse!
Yes, the whole city I get a key to.
Because I get
Sorry.
distracted and then I forget.
So you already
Just
got
open
Jaff on
any
his.
door you want. No,
Yeah, I
I'm
already
good.
What
did.
does it even do? It's so
Yeah, I'm
big,
real
and I've
good.
never seen
I don't
somewhere to
want
put
that.
one of those. Like,
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
know,
I'm gonna
I don't
wear
know
it
if I
on
want
my
the key to
chain.
mine either.
I want a chain.
you're gonna be
Slay.
like Flavor Flav, but you're gonna be
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly. That's what
what's
the whole
gonna be your catchphrase? Like, I got the keys.
Alright, guys. Let's do
No,
this
it's gonna be
again.
like- I
I
don't
got
know.
secret.
I got you.
It's
I
like
got
I
a
can open
feeling.
anybody's
You've been
heart.
distracted since you got here. Oh my.
That tonight's gonna be.
A good drug, and tonight's gonna be good.
Hi,
drug.
Raze.
I'm pretty sure
I'm
that's
sorry, but Tex is not the fixer in Mono's
Yeah.
stream.
Frosty on some stuff.
I don't know who Tex is.
I don't know what he's fixing, but he's fixing
I'm the
something.
fixer. I fix the shit around here.
It's
Oh my goodness. Hi! What are you giving? I'm giving away Steam keys tonight. For the
Yeah, it's
podium
just a little
winner
fun
gets a
thing.
Steam key. It's
Cool.
random which key you get.
Frosty Tools really is drunk. I don't know what the hell.
I think Frosty Tools is.
I think it's
I mean,
like a very lonely.
Stay fun.
Shane, stop
Uh,
coughing.
2, 1.
Sorry.
Roll.
I've been coughing all day.
Jeez.
And we are a little bit crazy.
She just heard me count like 6 seconds too late. She's like,
Did-
"Why are you
did I
counting
join?
3, 2,
Okay.
1 right now?"
Cheers.
I don't drink.
Wanja.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Oh, I guess I didn't.
Good job.
Again, if you don't like your key, you may give it away to anyone you wish.
Can I give mine away?
Can I throw
Yeah.
keys at people?
Yeah, you don't have to
Like,
tell me who you
throw a
give it
key?
to either. Just do it on your own time. See?
Okay. Just let me know how to work that out. 'Cause I don't.
Okay.
I've never done this before.
Oh, just give it to
You
like anybody
literally
in the
just
group chat or one of
send
your
someone
friends
and
or
go
anywhere.
Yeah, you can just
Yeah.
copy. Yeah, copy and paste or copy. Yeah, basically
Yeah.
copy the.
Okay.
Yeah, because she's
it's-
sending
yeah,
you the
it's like
key
an iPhone.
privately.
This is a squirrel.
yeah, yeah. I,
Squirrel?
Squirrel.
Okay.
alright.
Oh no, do you have my Steam?
No. So she's DMing you the key.
I already
Yeah,
sent
she's
it to
gonna
you.
give you.
Oh, okay.
She's gonna paste you the
Yeah.
actual key, and then you can.
Yeah,
do
I already
whatever
sent
you
it
Yeah.
to you.
And then you can,
Yeah.
You can sell it on
like a
eBay.
standard
You can do whatever the hell
direct-
you
Yeah,
want.
you can give it to whoever you want. You can post it in Michigan's chat even and say first person to
You're like,
grab
"This
it
key
gets it or wherever you want.
It's been in the
You can do it
hands
in
of
my
1,000
general
people
chat.
and
I don't
never
care.
been redeemed. Pass it on.
You
I
guys can
would
post it in my
say-
general chat and pass the love.
I would
Not
literally say,
in my
Yeah,
stream chat,
actually,
but like in my
what would be
Discord.
funny is if you just
Like my
paste it into
Discord.
the chat, and then whoever gets it gets it.
Mono,
Well,
I
you
love
could.
how you're
Be-
just going in circles and you're not even the one winning.
I know. Why? What the heck? It's because I'm multitasking and it's overrated.
You spin me right.
I'm trying to like hand out keys.
I got one brain cell, so I can't even do it.
Are you the orange cat?
But yeah, I would
No.
post it in a Discord and tell somebody to like like it or something if they grab it. That way you know it gets used. Because if they
it'll
don't...
get used the moment you post it, I promise.
Oh. And I'm not quick enough to, because I'm not quick.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm not yelling at you, Rain. I'm
Catching
just
keys
typing in
here.
all caps, apparently.
That's okay. I get it.
Yeah, sorry,
I'm just over here helping you out so you have your list going.
Right?
I'm just a little.
Okay, let me catch up on chat. Go home. You're drunk. What? Frosty Tools. Okay.
Go home, you're drunk.
Oh, I was telling Frosty Tools.
Is it with
We already commented
with
on that. Wait, what?
Cheerios? Is that like Cheerios, but with Cheerios? Welcome to the stream, by the way. I hope I said it right. So angry. Don't be angry, 6. It'll be okay.
Did he call her
Witherius.
that?
I'm gonna change my name to Michigan 7.
I almost feel like you're supposed to
Didn't.
pronounce it as a
Just
whole word.
called her a different
Witherius.
thing.
I hope that you all don't think I'm angry.
Oh yeah, we are
Because you
so
wouldn't
mad
like
at you.
me when I was angry.
Never.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm so angry right now.
I'm just.
So
Okay.
glad you mentioned
Next
that,
race.
'cause I thought you were fucking
A
raging.
lot of us fell off. Congratulations to those that stayed on.
I don't fully understand how I'm gonna send Joe this.
Yeah,
copy
just
paste.
copy and paste
It's
it over
just
to
a string
CM.
of numbers and
Oh,
letters.
like in
But
that channel.
I don't
Yeah,
see anything.
Just highlight
Oh,
it.
no,
She did
chance it
message
to
you.
you.
for the
Okay.
thing.
Discord and your
Okay.
messages at the top. So click on the very top icon in Discord in your left-hand column and you'll see a message from me.
And you can place it anywhere you want.
Oh,
Yeah.
did he block you? Awkward.
Oh! No, we're
Or
friends.
is it
apparently.
that fancy new ignore feature that exists?
Why?
I don't
why would
know.
I ever do that?
I'm just kidding.
I'm
we
so
know.
sad.
Okay.
It's just a joke.
The
It's just a
top
joke.
corner of my stuff is so when TikTok with the whole ban thing,
Yeah.
there's like
yeah.
a whole TikTok Discord, and I joined the TikTok Discord, and it's called Nothing's Happening. Somebody changed the icon to Tom from MySpace, and so
Oh,
now
yeah.
when I look in the top corner
Oh,
of
jeez.
Discord,
He's
it's
looking at you
Tom
over his shoulder.
from my
Exclamation
that I
join,
get.
guys! Exclamation play,
I can't
copy
believe
pasta!
Tom wanted
Hurry,
to be
hurry,
everybody's
hurry!
friend.
You're running out of time! Hurry, hurry, hurry to get in!
Well, we wouldn't
I mean-
change it to Tom.
Okay, beyond that, Rose, how do I find what?
Yeah, you might want to look and see what game it is before you just give it away.
So, here, hold on.
Well, you know
Let
what?
me-
I'm looking at Discord. I'm not looking at Steam. Okay, that's my fault.
No, you gotta look at Discord.
Yeah,
Well,
Mono
Discord's
DM'd
where
it to
the
you on
key should
Discord.
be.
I personal
Yeah.
messaged you on Discord.
Oh, did you maybe send
Yeah.
it to Jeff Parter? Different. There's a different Jeff something in the.
Oh, Jaff Giraffe. Yeah.
Oh, I bet I did.
His second
That
account.
probably explains why you're
I'm
confused.
so sorry.
I didn't know
it
it was
just
two
occurred to
accounts.
me.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay, let me look at my Steam here.
Oh, it's a Wiggles.
That's somebody else, I think.
Oh,
Is
no.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
you sent it
jeez.
to the wrong. Yeah.
they're probably not online right now.
They're
but-
not. I'm gonna
Yeah,
delete it.
just
Delete
just
it.
copy and paste
Yeah,
it to
just unsend
Jaffron
it.
so he can send it to wherever he wants to
Yeah, you
send
can
it.
just, yeah,
and then...
delete it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to send it to Michigan or post it in Michigan's
Oh,
general
yeah, You
chat?
can also delete the message. They probably haven't.
No, I
read
would
I
give
did.
it to him
Yeah.
first.
Just to
I
see
would
if
give
it's
it to
something
him
you want.
first.
Oh
Mhm.
my goodness, that's so funny. I'm glad I remembered
Yep.
that.
Well, there's only one.
honestly, that was
Jaff
very
in
smart.
here,
Well, it
so
doesn't
yeah.
help that when I'm streaming, all I can see is like a first letter dot 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 dot, and then I have to remember what your icon is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a privacy thing that they've implemented on Discord
Yeah.
now.
And I am Canadian, right? So you have to understand that as well.
Then you have $2 tax or two uni.
Let's
Okay,
see.
so where am I supposed to look here now?
I don't know.
Because you,
I was
you
trying
and
to figure that out too. How that.
Because you and I are friends.
Mm-hmm.
You just go to the top left. The newest chat message will be at the top, the very
Yeah,
top
pretty
left.
No,
sure she
I-
deleted the
So
other.
she
I
probably
did
hasn't sent
message
it
the
yet.
right person, it says.
Yes.
She probably has not. Just wait until this.
I messaged the
over.
one that's in my chat, so we're fine.
Okay,
Wickles, thank you
yeah,
so
I was gonna
much.
say.
Mono,
Hello.
I hope you know that I'm not trying to like give you a hard time or anything.
No, you're fine.
Rook,
Splints is very stressed out.
I don't see anything here. Oh, let's go.
And now
That's
that
so
song is
weird.
playing- that song is playing in my head. Stressed out.
Oh, okay, I got your message. Oddworld.
Yeah.
It's on
We
Wiggles.
Rook.
Okay, I got
Howdy,
it.
howdy.
For Valentine's Day.
What would
What'd
she
you
get
get?
you?
Oh
Ninja
my
Turtle.
God.
Amazing.
Welcome,
Splints
Liz
wants
Rose.
that.
Happy
I can see it in
Valentine's Day.
Splints'
Thank you so
eyes.
much for that sub. Thank you, thank
I
you,
don't know.
thank
He
you.
was really subtle.
I'm sitting here feeding my face.
That
Yes.
is awesome.
That's cool.
You like my koala?
Dude, I have a Stormtrooper helmet mug, kind of
I
like
love my
that
koala.
my parents got me once.
It's made
That's
from
adorable.
That's
recycled water
awesome.
bottles.
Yeah, this is what's funny, and it is pure coincidence. You probably can't see it, but I'm wearing Ninja Turtle socks.
Oh yeah.
Ninja Turtle box.
I
Nice.
thought you were gonna say that you
Nice.
also got her a Ninja Turtle mug, and I was like, that's perfect.
I thought you were saying you're wearing underwear.
That is so
like
funny
Ninja
that he
Turtles,
wakes up,
and we
puts on
couldn't see
Ninja
it.
Turtle socks, and he gets a Ninja Turtle mug. I love it.
Start
Yay.
calling you
I came
Michael
in second.
Slim.
Well, I would
I don't
love
know
to
who-
have. Sorry.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Raphael was always
Happy
my
You
Valentine's
too.
Day.
Oh, hugs and
Day.
kisses. Hug and kisses.
Happy.
love my
What is it,
koala.
like,
Yeah.
Not to bully you
always
guys.
not to.
So,
I'm gonna bully you.
no, I'm just curious. So how do I put this into Steam? Do I type the whole
Um,
thing out?
Hold on.
You gotta.
Going
No,
to
you can
Steam
copy it.
on the bottom left, there's a add a
Alright.
game, and it can
One more
activate a
race.
product on Steam.
Games. You can go games at the top. Activate a
Oh, that's
product
One more
on
race.
Steam.
Gladiator, Cold
Yeah, that's
Empire.
yeah.
But
There's
do
that
you,
too.
you just paste
Play,
the
play,
code
play
in
to
the
get into the
So,
race.
yeah.
One more
Awesome.
race till somebody else
Why,
gets a
what'd you win?
key.
What'd you win?
Thank
What'd you
you.
win? What'd you win?
Yeah, that's it.
What'd you win? What'd you win? What'd you win?
Steam keys. Whoever gets first place on the podium each round gets a Steam key for a game, a random game. If you've already won one, you can't win again tonight. And it goes
How
to the
dare.
second place
I want
person.
to have 2 keys.
So what I'm trying to figure out, Rose, is that Mono gave me Oddworld,
So you don't need to copy
Age.
all the words.
Odyssey.
Just the numbers.
Yeah, just the
Yeah,
numbers at
letters
the end.
separated
From the
by
first number
actions.
to the last number. That's all.
Right. Okay,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
now he's got it popped up. I don't think you have to accept it though.
You don't have to, and now you can take
I
that
just wanna
key and
make
give it
sure
to
that
Yeah.
whoever.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
up to you, Jeffron, and this is.
Yeah.
You'll
I
figure
know
it
you
out.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, just figure it out tomorrow. And give it away if you don't want it.
Whoa,
Save it for
why
tomorrow.
is Frosty Tools talking about me
I
now?
want to give it.
There's a
talking about me too.
commercial break.
Oh, we're catching up on the chat. The chat's on fire with Marble Madness. Everyone's rolling in with their play commands while KimonoKat keeps the hype alive with roars and butt burns.
Oh,
Michigan stirs up some friendly rivalry, text dances instead of fights. Mr. Splints catches a wild tarantula.
That's a good one.
Meanwhile, Shop juggles drinks work and Watherios drops in curious about giveaways. Let's keep those marbles rolling.
Oh my
juggling drinks
gosh.
at work is.
I love that.
I just
Yeah.
like how Tech said.
You get to be our, what is it, commentator on our ad breaks and read it out loud.
Okay.
I feel like you need to do
Got
it in
you.
like real commentator voice though,
Yeah,
like you're
that'd be so
watching
cool.
a hockey game.
Meanwhile,
Yes.
let's catch up on the chat. The
Yeah.
chat
Yeah.
is
Oh, that's
fire
more like
with
baseball.
Marble
That's
Madness.
more
No,
baseball.
we're on an ad break,
That's
please.
a little bit more
Go.
Their
baseball.
play commands while KimonoKat keeps the hype
Yeah,
alive
that's
with
baseball.
roars and bum burns.
Poke,
Exactly.
catch
More
to catch,
baseball.
zigzag
He
ooh.
stirs up with-
Or we can
Yes.
get real fast.
I'm gonna turn you up next time. Let you do that then, you know?
I guess
Let's
it's
do it. We're gonna
Splint's
turn the
to do it.
volume up a
Yeah.
little. let's commentate
Hey,
next
Joe,
commercial
would you
break.
accept that game?
Let me Google
I
it.
just sent you the code.
Yeah, I know. I
The
saw
what
that.
game are you talking about? Oddworld?
It's Oddworld. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
played
actually a
it.
pretty fun
Odyssey?
game.
That's pretty good.
Abe's Odyssey?
It's really good. Yes.
Yeah, Abe's Odyssey is a
Oh,
really
yeah, I
fun one.
fucking loves Abe's
Classic.
Odyssey.
And I
When he does
fell
that
off.
wee, that wee bit, it's fucking great. I remember
never
that
played it.
game. So good.
I want Joe to have it though.
Yeah.
Abe's Odyssey is awesome. Yeah, you should be playing that, bud.
No, I want Joe to have it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, he won a key too.
That's why we're trying to hype it up so Joe will take it.
Mate, it's good.
It's a
So
very good game.
he already won it, and then I just gave it.
No, he won a
No.
different
No,
game.
no.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure
Tyler.
he has it because I want him to play it.
Yeah, I saw
we
it. I
got
Googled it
a
and all that.
fucking-
And
A belter earlier on.
Here,
Splint's
guys.
just doing,
I'm gonna do
copy
something
paste.
random.
Oh yeah. Hold on.
Okay. Wiggles,
There you go.
It was a fucking belter. So Wiggles was doing the copy. Flint was doing the copy and paste, right? And
Oh jeez.
he didn't click
Wiggles.
on. He
I
thought
think
he was copy
I
and
think
pasting
Splints
like
was or Six was
Xbox
Wiggles,
stuck.
look
Mark
at the
Play
chat.
in order to like play
Oh,
Mark.
it's
Look
just
at the
really hard to
code.
watch.
It came up with fucking post-coital omelet.
Yeah, he
Yeah, 'cause
accidentally
it's a-
copy and pasted the wrong thing in
It's
the
a
chat.
hash brown.
So-
I
Oh
was trying
no.
to DM it. He was trying to DM
He
it.
was
Yeah,
DMing it to me and Lemon because we were curious about it.
Yeah, you have to add it. I was gonna tell you, you have to add it to the list.
It's added to the list, but
We were interested.
it's added. We were interested in
That's
post-coital
fantastic.
omelets.
Go Tex! Look at you. Congrats. All right, who's gonna be on the podium? Here we go. Next key.
Well,
It's about to be
Wiggles,
given away.
What do you think came up after that?
Let's
Can you still
go.
be on the podium if you fell off?
Downstairs when you said we were into it.
Third place.
I fell
Not
off. So
wrong.
I'm on it.
Second place goes to Desi. Third
Oh,
place
yeah,
goes
okay,
to.
yeah, I've been quoted as well.
First place goes to.
Well,
Oh god.
hacks, cheat codes.
Hey.
Well.
I did
No, I
it.
want somebody to win that hasn't won.
Fucking won. I have no idea.
Congrats,
how.
Lady Rain. Congrats.
It's
Totally. rigged.
it's that quote 79. Some post-coital omelets.
I'm like, what the heck, yeah. It's the omelets.
God.
Yeah,
You're
Tex
never
said
gonna
that.
live that down, Splits. You're never gonna live that down.
Nope.
I mean, if
I
you're
think
not
I'm gonna
live
have to
something
write
down,
some of
that's
that
the way to
shit in.
go. Go big or go
No,
home.
you have to just go with it because
I'm gonna
it
be in a
happens.
retirement home and somebody's gonna come up to me and just whisper,
Radio.
Or somebody's just gonna, some old lady's just gonna hand you an omelet and wink.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's even worse.
Oh no.
All in.
Yeah.
All in.
Lemon, no, she'll finish off the topic by being Happy Valentine's Day.
Wiggles.
So it'll be like
What's
the Japanese
post-coital?
omelet and in a heart on the top.
Oh yeah, omuraisen.
Jeez.
I love it.
dude, that's such a hard thing to make. Have you ever tried to make an omelet soft enough that you can cut the skin and it'll just like?
Yeah, I can make it
I know.
consistently.
That just sounds good.
There we go. There we go.
Never
Every-
tried it.
You meant
It requires a good pan.
Oh yeah, it
What?
does. 100%.
What,
And-
what the frick are we talking about right
We're
now?
talking about omelets. What are you...
Omelet.
Omelets.
Specifically
Totally
the post-coital
omelets.
ones.
Yeah.
No, we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
We're not talking about really anything.
Omelets.
Never said
oh,
such
have
a
you ever
thing.
tried to make one? They're really hard.
All right. As a gift to you guys, if you're lurking and you're listening, and you are not a member of my
I
Discord,
do like the laughs.
and would like to join my
God, I'm
Discord,
sorry.
please do so.
Breathe.
Because in just a few minutes,
What have you
in my
started?
Discord, I'm gonna randomly post a key
I've never-
in my chat. And whoever check marks it
Everybody
first
catch
with a thumbs up, I know took the key. So, and once that's done, I will delete the key. So that not 500 million of you are trying to put it in there at one time. Not that there's that many people in my
That's what she said.
Discord.
Sorry.
But yes, get ready, join Discord,
I had to. I had to.
and in just a minute, I'll post it. I hear you, Michigan. I hear you.
No, I watched The Office so many times that I have to do it. It's like
It's compulsory.
yeah.
So join Discord if you want the key.
Making this shit difficult on us?
I love The Office. It's
Yes.
my favorite show.
I'm only joking.
You know I'm a Parks and Rec girly myself.
We watched it all on my channel, and
So good.
it's
I gotta grab-
okay. I do
Can I
believe
grab
it's okay.
Lady
Love
Rain's
it.
key before I do this?
I mean, you see what he's trying to teach
The Office is a little bit more
Ron
superior.
Swanson pyramid, and he's like, fishing's not what is it? Fishing's not hunting; it's a sport. He's trying to teach all these like fucking 12-year-old gym like students this Ron Swanson pyramid, and he has this ethos for every single little thing, and he's like,
What?
Fishing, trying
I don't want
fish,
to join Discord. Just be in there.
It's not
I love Ron.
There.
He was in Oban.
Alright, guys. While we're in the middle of the race,
Am I in? Okay, because I don't remember.
because we're not worried about who's gonna win, right? Or we know Cat's
We're
gonna
all
win.
winners here.
I'm a watch.
Yeah! Whoa!
always-
Guys, did
I'm
you
always
see that?
winning.
My ball just jumped. Oh, there's a portal there. I was like, how the heck did I get in the
just
bowl
wanna
that
stay on
fast?
the course.
I just want
There's a portal there.
Oh,
Freaked me
yeah.
out.
That's not what I want. Activate.
Yeah, I don't think I did either. I thought I got it in time.
Well,
Or maybe
All
you
right,
just fell off.
Discord
I have no
ready.
idea what this game is.
Discord ready. Don't forget there's a delay on stream because I'm gonna count down from
Delay?
5 for that delay. Put a check mark on it in general if you claim it. You've already won one tonight. Let somebody else get it if you don't mind.
Yeah, I didn't
Won.
join, so other people can win.
All right. So, all right.
I'm being nosy though.
3. All right. We'll start with 5.
It's so funny.
5.
Somebody types boops
4.
to Snoop.
3.
I type
2. 1.
Oh,
Pasted.
Komodo one. Of course.
Put a check mark on it if it's yours. And as soon as you do, I'm gonna delete it.
Oh, well, I don't even know where I'm looking, so.
General.
General.
I call hacks.
Whoa.
I call hacks.
General.
I cheated.
Generali?
Oh, she literally admitted that she cheated.
I did.
I knew it. I knew it.
Does the heart mean you claimed it?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. We're gonna delete.
She said a chat.
Alright, it's
Alright.
done.
That's so
Yeah, I said
funny
a
that
thumbs
had
up,
that
but the
silent
heart
roll.
works. Anything works. It's Valentine's Day. It's proper. Too drunk. Kimono has Discord. Yes. Yes, we were doing we're doing giveaways tonight for Steam game keys. And if you get first place on the podium, you get a key.
No, but I'm happy to donate it to someone.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I
don't even know where I was.
Post it back in Discord until somebody puts a heart on it.
Okay, do it again.
Post it back in Discord until somebody puts a heart on
Hey,
it.
Joe, did you get my game?
back in
that I
general?
sent you?
Yeah, I got it. I got
Yes,
the code.
you.
and all that.
Okay.
Because you're the one who
I'm
decided
trying
to
to
claim
decide
it
if I
first.
want it or not. As in, you know, like I could give it. I could technically.
Mona cheating on Valentine's Day? That's not good.
Joey,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
you would like it.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
know
have
that's
all
what
these
I
lovely
don't
people
know
in
that
here.
well, I guess.
I'll be honest with you, I just.
They know I have hacks. It's all good.
I just
Is it?
started it. I didn't
Then I'll
fucking
keep it.
copy it and paste it.
Oh my god.
I played it back in, it came out in like,
Alright.
I want to say like 90.
Play, exclamation play. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone, by the way. Happy Valentine's Day. Welcome to
It
the
was on
stream.
I played it on the PlayStation. I
Exclamation
believe.
play to get your marble on the track. Exclamation play.
Not that.
We love
What
a
did you
good
do?
accidental copy paste moment.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
guess it's
get-
going
get the
away to
code.
chat. Somebody claim that key.
Too bad it's already claimed.
Oh, is that the one for the game you had?
She's
Yes.
just trying to rub it in. She's rubbing it in like
Not
it's
that
already
key,
been
not
done.
that key.
I
But
didn't
no.
know
I'm
that.
not the only one who airs.
Now,
on
Dreams,
copy
if you don't
paste.
want that game, I'll paste it in chat and see if somebody. But then I just don't know if somebody claimed it or not. That's the
What
thing.
game are we talking about
Pasted
here?
because all I done was literally just put the heart next to it. I didn't copy. I didn't.
Oh my god.
But if nobody takes, I'll just paste it back in my
Just hold the
general.
splints.
All right, I'm gonna paste it, guys. I'm pasting a stream key,
You
I
guys
just
are
put
a
making this
Steam
episode
key
great.
in my general Discord chat. If you want the game, put a heart on it, and I'll delete it so that everybody knows it's been taken.
Can you
Go.
let me know, Mono?
Let go.
I did claim that game, right? That you gave me?
Oh, the
Yeah,
Ames
that's
Odyssey
cool.
one.
Sweet. Look at the kitty cat.
I just want to make sure that I claimed it. properly.
Yeah, that went directly to you, buddy.
It's not
Yeah,
gonna
that went
tell
straight
her
to you.
if you claimed
Oh, in Marvel.
Only one person can claim a key. It's not gonna tell
But
me.
I send it to
Yeah, that's why I'm
Joe.
not worried about purging myself.
it. Yes, and he claimed it, and he knows he
Okay.
claimed it.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it was actually.
Let's see.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Yes.
it'll tell you. Like if it's been used, it'll tell you this key is no longer valid.
I'm wanting the big fan. I want fucking. Do you have more than? Do you have like another Abe's Odyssey one by chance?
Aiden,
No.
You're rando.
Giving them out.
just
Random keys.
just deal with
Random
it. I could have
games.
given you mine. I have no idea what the fuck my game is.
I'm fucking. Yeah, see that moment? I know what game it is. I'm fucking all in.
It's called
Yeah.
Goodbye My King. I have no idea what the fuck it is.
I'm
But it's
Beautiful.
fine.
Oh,
I'll add
it's
it to
gonna be
the
in lighting.
Let's go.
games.
You're gonna add it to the list of games that you never play, right? But you think
Yeah,
about
pretty
playing one day?
much. It's
Because I
literally all
have
the
like a
time.
bazillion of those that
I
I'll
have
think
over
about
100
playing one day.
games. I have over 100 games on Steam. I cannot tell you.
Damn, that's a lot.
How many
I have
do
like
I have?
7, and they're all
Alrighty.
they're all the same, just a different font.
See who's in the lead now.
As long as they don't
Except Baldur's
fall
Gate.
off.
Battle
Yeah, I
Cat.
was gonna say except for the Baldur's Gate. That one's a little different.
Categorized. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
101.
And Harry Potter Legacy, that's different.
Yeah.
I've got Dalmatians, guys.
Okay, but you need to
I
tell
have
Thor
101
he
games.
needs
Oh
use the
wow.
dragon.
No, come back, Battle Cat. That's not the way.
I need to get off my
dang it.
hyperfixation of Fields with Mystria. So that I
Lady,
can get
that's
back
not
into
the way
Baldur's
either.
Gate, and then I can play
Yeah.
Dragon.
And to be fair, you could probably get
Don't worry
away with playing Veilguard and not having played any of the other games. I think
Okay.
that's a pretty
Let's
good
see.
intro for someone
See if
who's never
Shane
played a
survives.
Dragon Age game. Granted,
Steve.
Inquisition's probably the best to be introduced to, but we'll allow you Veilguard because of Lucanus.
Again, if you just joined, we're
Accept
giving away Steam
Because
keys for random
could go wrong?
games to the person who wins
with an assassin with the
and
dark
makes it to the top
backstory.
of the
It's great.
podium on these 3 marble races.
Yay,
About my
guys
type.
on Steam Keys.
I know.
Yeah. All the words get really hard for me.
You might like
Are you
Emmerich
Bard
though.
too?
What?
You might actually end up liking Emmerich more.
Oh,
Emmerich
Don't
is a
you type?
necromancer.
Books again. They're
Um,
gonna forget to play.
Hurts, yes.
And he's actually the
All the
oldest out of
words.
the entire like team. He's in like his 50s. But he's just a sweet
Harsh
little old
moderator to use
necromancer.
words. I don't even know what the
And he has
command
a
is.
son. He has a skeleton son named Manfred.
Oh,
who is
that's
also
why.
voiced by Matt Mercer.
Oh, I love Matt Mercer though.
I forgot
Matt
about that
Mercer
queen.
voices Manfred, the skeleton son.
I've been listening
Next.
to not another D&D
Activating
podcast on the way to
zooming
work.
bongos.
Have you listened?
I have not, but it's been on my list.
It is so good.
Doot doot. Exclamation play, guys! Exclamation play! Get your marble on the track. Let's go, 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 go!
Not Pat.
Pollywog appears.
It's like
Pollywog.
cute.
Poketch. You can also catch Pokemon. No coughing, Rain. No coughing.
This is your guys' fault.
It's
me laughing
not
over
my
here.
fault. I blame your
totally is.
coworkers. I blame your coworkers.
I am on a cough suppressant, so I'm not coughing nearly as much as I normally would.
Oh, my chicken ball is
Shouldn't be
on
drinking
the
while you're
subside. No!
Huh?
That's a
Not
Are
the
you
little
drinking
chickadee.
while you're on your cough suppressant?
That's
Yeah.
water.
This is
And
water. though.
maybe some.
Yes.
maybe some cider. Ain't like she's like chugging them.
Let's go.
Wife,
Last
is
race of the
something?
Grand
Like
Prix.
one. Like,
Yeah, I
you're
was gonna
right.
say it's the only one. I mean, it says may cause drowsiness. Alcohol may make this worse.
Oh no,
It's
you're
fine.
at home. You might fall asleep.
Right.
Oh boy.
No, and actually,
a
I
friend-
chose to take the pill because it wasn't gonna make me drowsy like syrup would.
No,
I had a
understand
friend
if you
in
drink
college
too much,
who used
but...
to mix vodka, and
Oh,
I would
God.
yell at
Yeah,
that.
no.
Wait,
Stupid.
did you say NyQuil in vodka?
Wow.
Not me. I had a
that's
friend in
dangerous.
college who did. Yeah,
That's
no.
This one goes way
I would
down.
yell at him.
What do you guys
No,
think? I was like
dangerous.
turning my head sideways to see this.
No,
He
this
was
is a
from Italy and
prescribed
thought it
one.
was cool.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Oh, jeez.
So cool.
Tex, congrats on catching the
know.
Pokemon.
Look at us going down the little
I was stupid in young ones
swirly
too.
straw.
Right?
Hey,
It's like
lady,
endless
remember why
straw.
when you asked me about my profile picture on Steam?
Your NyQuil.
Whee!
I love your NyQuil.
That's yep.
Like, I don't go. Weasels is in the lead.
I feel like my koala should be
No.
named
Wiggle
post
can't
coital
wait.
omelet.
Silent
Because
and
it's
Turtle
a stream.
left the game. Radio left the game.
To be fair, I do
Yeah,
want
I
Wiggles.
guess I'm glad I
because-
pasted it into chat.
Michigan left the
poor
game.
koala. That poor koala.
Fine.
I wanted
have,
to leave the game
I have a
because I want
koala
other
that's
people
called
to win.
Moose Bear, and the other one is
Walk
named
away.
Bubblegum. So
Alright.
I think we're doing okay.
I think I like went down here too fast. I was
We
like,
got
you
some
guys didn't
weird-ass
even get down
names.
here.
Is there like gold down there?
I don't know where
This is-
Moose Bear is. Bubblegum's over here somewhere. Yeah. Bubblegum's actually right behind me. Right there.
Yo,
That's Bubblegum.
I just learned something and now I've forgotten it. But the double
Doing
Oh,
video
my
Wiggles.
hurt.
Story is life.
we're related to another actress.
Yeah, I don't know.
I understand that.
Who was it?
I wish I had a stand-up
It
desk.
was really
Technically, I
surprising.
could.
Right? I just sit here
But
and let it do its
I could just
thing.
pick up my my whole
but
desk.
would you
and then
enjoy the
maybe I could.
Rose? I'm trying to sit here and think. I'm like, I think you might like the romances on an
Uh-oh.
end position more than Veilguard.
Hi, guys.
You know me.
Oh.
I'll go with your recommend.
I think
Haley
Inquisition would be a
Segal.
better one.
I actually started reading lately, which is weird to me.
Reading.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely need to get
I'm
Inquisition.
hyper fixating
Okay.
on something. My bad.
Cause you know, like Bucky, like yeah.
Yeah, like you would like Blackwall, but I also think you would like Iron Bull.
Let's go.
I liked Redwall.
But also like
Congrats,
Dorian, you would
Shocky.
enjoy Dorian. Granted, if
Alright,
you play
here
a
we
female
go.
character, you can't romance him, but he's
We
still a
have
fantastic
Chance
person. Yeah, you would like Inquisition more.
I did not finish
What?
it.
What?
What?
Oh God.
Blame
Heard of
Wiggles. I don't know why.
All right, let's go.
Now,
Let's
now
see who
I'm
wins.
curious.
When in
What
doubt,
what
when
what
in
bullshit
doubt.
is Thor spewing over there?
What? Oh, I heard him say Jason Kelsey coming out of retirement, but he was joking. I got really excited.
Is it
Alright.
random who wins or is it whoever?
So did he really retire?
It's not random. It's
Random.
Oh,
points.
Jason
no,
Kelsey
that's
did.
Jason
Jason
Kelsey. He
Kelsey.
retired 2 years ago.
Oh, okay, never mind.
His brother
It's not
did.
random.
No, a year ago.
Whoa!
On what, Michigan?
Nice landing on the
Marbles?
podium there, Shocky. Nice
Random.
landing with
Oh,
third
look,
place.
Shocky.
No, I'm
Good.
talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
being
yeah,
in the
yeah.
poll.
Let's just
yeah.
hope the other two already have keys and you'll get a key.
Winning is not random in the end.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Shane
what I
does
knew
not
what
have
he
a
meant.
key.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know
No.
what he
But-
meant, yeah.
but winning each
Congratulations
match,
on second
that's
place,
random
Shane.
as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Alright,
there's a point
first
system
person
where
on the
there's a point
podium
system.
who is
That's not me.
Mr. Splits! Splits gets a key.
Lance,
Congratulations, Splits! Woohoo!
Lance.
I didn't even
Congrats.
notice that I won. That's weird.
Congrats!
Dude, you have a white-
GG!
Well, it's because you used the sheep ball, I think.
Yeah, that's the sheep.
Is it rigged? Is
The
it
sheep
rigged?
makes you
I think
win.
it's rigged.
Bah. It's always rigged, but we don't care.
No, I
It's
drug tested him. He's fine.
Drink
Man,
water?
you are-
Thank you.
How many drug tests you got?
I got a lot. I got a whole closet full.
He's vested in them?
Exactly.
I'm this drug test, dude.
God dang.
Rigged
I need to stop doing
429 times!
Right.
BYB, okay.
Well,
Selection.
Splits was pregnant when I got his pee back. I don't know why, but
You have my full
He was
investment.
pregnant.
That would mean I have testicular cancer, actually.
So,
well, I,
By the way,
that, okay,
guys,
that's
if
a
you
little
on
bit.
a pregnancy test and
feeling-
it turns
I'm
up
feeling-
positive, it means you have
feeling a good
testicular
future.
cancer.
feeling a good.
Oh, that's
That's
I'm aware
good
of
to know.
that, but-
Maybe I should
I
have
asked how
known
you
pee on a stick.
randomly figured that
I
out.
have one.
Dude, I go out into the woods and pee on a stick, but it doesn't work. I don't know why.
Da-da-da,
You know what I
da-da-da-da-da-da.
mean, Jeebus.
I know. Yeah,
Careful, Joe. You're gonna sprain your.
I'm gonna spray my anus.
No,
I actually created
no.
those words, and I'm not created the
Jeez.
words.
Y'all are
He's the
crazy.
only one who joined them together in the forge of.
Yeah, I
Whatever.
forged them in the volcano.
Oh, the key
I
has
was
been
trying to make it sound
claimed
epic, like a
in
movie
Discord.
thing, but
I
Yeah,
shall
yeah,
delete
it doesn't
now.
work.
Well, yeah. Anyways, I'm done. But yeah, there's so many things in my brain.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's see.
Man, I feel off tonight.
Did I do that?
I
Are you
got
getting
a
sick? I
fun.
hope and not that way,
Sweet.
I've just had.
like a
I've
bad
had-
day. Or
No, I've had a crazy
Lemon,
couple weeks.
I'm
and
upset. You don't share your location on Snapchat with me.
Today was.
Ooh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh.
That looks fun.
I want to stalk you. and
I don't think they do
Oh,
with
let me.
anybody.
I think today I won.
actually,
Don't let me
I do
stalk
get
you.
Lemons Snapchat location.
Michigan can stalk me. I could stalk Michigan if I want to.
No, I literally have
win.
pretty much every
Oh, no.
location.
What?
I'm not a weirdo.
I have
so-
my location.
What did
on
I
for my
do?
friends, but
Yeah, I'm not a
close to
weirdo.
winning And you just fucking
I just realized that like I literally
totally
can't
did
look
not
at her.
copy paste that
didn't
last.
bump me.
I could stalk my friend in
was there.
Vermont, but
No, I'm out. Great, thanks. Fucking
Oh, yeah.
All thing I do is
Boy,
I see it, I'm like,
no!
okay,
The
that's it.
giant
moment.
star.
slightly
Congrats,
winning.
Wiggles.
Just mentions it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I need to start using my Indo voice. What's the crack?
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot of people getting fallen off.
And Jeff,
Da,
I
da, da,
stalked
da,
Jeff
da,
too.
da.
I don't think I joined again because that's what I do. Apparently.
I think everybody's falling off this. You.
It's that part that I'm just now
Oh,
coming
did I
into.
miss it? I might have.
I did.
Play. Oh yeah, no, I did not play.
Thanks, Rain.
Mono got
What?
launched. Momo.
What did I do?
Momo? You mean Mono?
It wasn't me.
Knock me
I
out.
didn't play.
Oh.
Momo.
you're welcome.
I'm not a peach.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm a cat. Congratulations,
Those
Wiggles!
heart ear
Silence!
things are like
Oh.
super.
At least you have an office. Yeah.
It's crazy.
You're a
it's
cat with a
awesome.
peach. Yeah. I have peach Oreos.
Ooh. Peachios.
Or
Yes.
Oreos?
Yes. Peach
Uh,
Oreos.
Oh, peach tea or
Oh.
something like that.
Yeah, they're peach oolong Oreos.
Oolong peach tea.
Yeah,
those
it was
you
pretty
pronounce
crazy.
Those letters.
Huh?
Words.
I've only explored 34% of the town I live in, by the way.
I love
What
that
did
you
I
have.
say?
Time to
I
go
love
out.
that you have the ladle back.
According
in
to
the
Snapchat.
corner.
Mhm, mhm.
Oh yeah, I said, how would you like that?
Nessie is back there.
Chocolate
100%.
How much of the other one? That's bullshit. I've definitely explored more of Lawrence. So thank you.
Alright. Next round.
All wins it.
How do you find that out? Because I've lived in this town for, I mean, well, like a year and a half, but I grew up, so.
Well, so if you look at this snap,
Whoa, I almost pasted
map,
the code to the game. Wow.
Like, I had it
You almost did a rain. You almost did a rain.
No, you almost did a split.
If you zoom in close enough, it'll
You do, Silent.
Like a percentage underneath the town. And it's going
We have
towards
the
like the hot
musical
spots
group here.
that it's considering. It's not even like I probably have really actually only explored like 25% of this town because I don't go past my little area.
I have explored 99 to 98% of my town.
You're just making up that fucking number. What do you mean?
They're just making up numbers.
I've been through like 50% of the last town I lived in.
Alright, let's go.
Listen, they have an app that is quantifying it for them, so they're on equal terms. You're just making up a number.
Yeah, and the reason why is that there's not a fucking place in this town I haven't been.
That's not
Yeah,
the
but
point.
that's
That's not the point.
That is the point.
No, the point is that they're using an even playing field judgment system. You're just making up a judgment.
What are you using to cast this even playing field judgment? Like an app?
Yeah.
We were looking at Snapchat, so we
Let's
were
go.
like, we had our own reference to whatever.
No.
And
Look
that's
at radio in that
us
race car.
opening Snapchat in an area around us.
And using it. You know why they tell you that kind of statistic? Because they want you to increase it. Because you're like, ooh, I should make this number go up. And the next thing you know, you've done a Google Maps for some random company who you don't know who owns it.
I mean, I use that.
I don't want to go outside.
Honestly, I don't even care.
Ooh, Dreams
He
is
knows what
approaching
we're
Steve
Oh,
and makes it
every
through.
Time, Mono, every time I'm first, you're always
Makes
highlighting
it
and then I end
through.
up with fucking ninth.
I just said you were approaching Steve. I didn't say anything about your race position.
Oh, you're approaching.
Oh, here we go.
You were just approaching Steve.
Radio getting delayed by Steve, but
Hold on,
Desi's really
Steve
getting
is
kicked
here.
back here.
Keep my name out your mouth.
My name, Atchcom.
I'm always.
Sorry, are you Will
Desi
Smith?
finally made it
I'm
through.
always wondering about.
No, I'm Steve.
Yeah, his real name is.
Hey, been a few years. Hi, Dreams. Welcome. How are we doing?
I don't want to overshare.
Happy Valentine's Day, man. Happy Valentine's
I
Day.
already did, dude. I exposed PCO.
Every time, come on.
Dude, you had your social security number down. Like, enter.
What?
Why are you
Every
talking about
time.
rain?
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do it. I didn't.
Every time my name is mentioned, or she's
Not
like highlighting, like,
responsible.
oh, Dreams is doing really well.
Not
Fucking
responsible.
There's another
Someone's
dream.
Reproductive system. I'm
There's
not
another
gonna lie.
dream here. Dream angels.
I just had to know.
There's another.
Yeah, there's dreams angels in here.
Yeah, the Pokemon dream. And then, the one in chat that's, very Scottish in
Am I
nature.
supposed to read this thing?
Very Scottish
Okay.
nature. That's a polite way of saying that.
No, I thought he was
Oh,
from
whatever
Welsh.
you support,
Angels
Gary,
have been
please.
around longer
Oh
than
my
I
god, it
have,
keeps moving.
but I've
Thank
been
you for your
more-
Come
support
on,
during
why is
these
this
ad
thing
breaks.
not
You're
working?
back soon.
Hello.
Just
Which trailblazing Gloria was instrumental in co-founding the
Hi,
feminist
there we go.
publication Miss Magazine.
I was like,
Find out when the ads end. in
oh,
about a
because when
minute.
person wins, they disappear. That's why I couldn't get to the finish line.
Just excuse the Scottish.
Desi has been following KimonoKat for 1 year, 10 months. Dreams has been following KimonoKat for 5 years, 10 months. Dang, Michigan,
No, they're
6
doing-
years,
no,
2 months. Holy cow.
Michigan has me beat by a
Lady
whole
is 5 years,
fucking
8 months. Yeah, Michigan has you beat. That's crazy. How did I win?
I was a stalker for 4 years,
Rude.
and then I.
Hacks.
I-
Cheats.
If I can't consecutively wake up for work on time, there's no chance in fuck I consecutively fucking subscribe.
Alright guys, we're playing for keys tonight. We're playing for Steam keys.
6
Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Exclamation play. Let's go.
That says 4 years?
Keeps the
I didn't know I knew
keys.
text for 4 years.
You may have hit it too soon, guys. You may have hit it, Who joined
Hey,
too
that's
soon?
what people say.
I did it again. That key is already accepted. Don't
I
bother.
think Dreams did it too soon.
I
Not
think
Dream,
we need to
but
take
Dream's
the
Angel.
keyboard away from splints. I think we need to take the keyboard
me.
from splints.
Oh, yeah. It's already been used. Ignore the random key.
Sorry, it's already taken.
Oh, we need our commentator. Okay, Dreams. I mean, Splints, I'm turning you way up. You get to read chat.
Dreamweaver, from playing the marbles to catching the ultimate subscription, you have officially become a VIP in KimonoKat's Marble Race of Support. Your dedication is as solid as these marbles you've been rolling. Here's to ad-free viewing and exclusive emotes. You've truly caught the best kind of bug.
Oh shit, I still haven't won though.
I feel like I was in Nickelodeon, like.
Still haven't won though. Yeah, it's like. And now, kid.
Yes, Weaver.
Here's fucking.
Dreamweaver.
something.
Wait, I know. I gotta say, Dream Angels. Dreams Angels. Dreams. I can't say it.
Alright, we got dreams and we have angels. How about that?
Okay, we got Weaver and Angels. There we go.
Weaver and angels, there we go. That works.
Weaver and Angels.
You're all my angels? Is that what you just said?
No.
No.
Thanks.
His
No,
name
no,
is not
that's not even
Weaver.
close.
I
It's
think
not
it
even
was
close.
I'm fucking
It's
doing a
Waver.
flavor.
It's
I-
Waver.
Waver.
I always
Okay, it's
text
Waver
it,
and
touch
Angel.
Thanks.
I think there's a sand spur in my carpet. I think I stepped
What?
on it.
No.
There's a sand spur.
Just angels and wavers.
It's just in waivers.
I always
We
text
know
keep
lost
pushing
our
out
dreamer
Pokemon.
name. Yes.
Just saying.
Okay, I'm not the only rain.
You're also
Yeah.
not the only lady.
No.
Lady at night.
It's okay.
Very true. And I'm not the only one that lives in
there's,
Michigan.
there's Lady
Here's
Rain
me
and
trying to
there's
find
Night
this
Rain.
sand spur again that I stepped on a minute ago and I can't
I
find it.
have been around longer than Night Rain.
Ugh. Finding it the painful way.
I don't know actually. They might have been around the same time.
I'm the only Wiggles.
You are the only Wiggles.
You
No,
are the
I-
only Wiggles I've seen.
Hold on.
I'm
Closest
not the only-
Wiggles
there's-
we've
there's
had?
some dude
Oh,
who thinks
no.
he's a rapper. who
Oh, no,
uses
this is
my
gonna
name.
sound terrible because I just remembered a previous conversation. That's like the closest name we have to Wiggles is Danger Noodle. God.
Danger Noodle.
Like I said, I have no comment in this.
I don't know why I remembered this conversation after that thought, though, but I did.
And guess what, guys? I'm not the
Okay,
only one that lives
hey,
in
y'all want to
Michigan.
make a quote? That's one of them. The closest thing we have to Wiggles is Danger Noodle.
Yes. If you know, you know.
Alright.
If you don't,
Alright.
you don't.
I have no comment. No comment.
There you go. Good idea. No comment. Yes, we
I
can
just
have
wanna
dreams.
bury
Yes, you
mine a
all can
little
have
deeper
dreams.
so
You
they
are
just forgot.
We can't have
amazing.
nice things. We can't have nice things here.
There I go.
Oh my god, meowie
Almost there.
lady. Welcome. Bloody Zeldos. Welcome.
I
Lovely
said-
outfit. Thank you so much.
Hi,
Thank you. Thank you.
Quote number 0.
There we
Oh,
go.
hold
No,
on.
it's a quote forever.
No, hold on. I fucked it up.
Quote
for a
0.
second.
Isn't that like
no,
number?
it's because I forgot to hit quote add. There we go. Now it's a quote forever.
Alright. Also,
Quote
congratulations
0 is the very first quote
Lemon.
ever made on
Quote
KimonoKat,
0
by the way.
on
Has
making
no
it in the
value.
basket first.
I want to be the very best, like no one ever
I wanna
was.
be the
Zero
best
beats
Back
number
on
1.
Mono,
like
played
no
Kitty
one
Party.
ever was.
I wonder what my quote was.
Hiya,
Oh, it was
chat.
something
Hiya,
about
mods.
Sean's meat. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
Bloody says hi. Can't
Can't
find
remember
kitty
what
heart ears. Those would be so cute, kitty heart ears. I just have regular hearts. No
They'll
kitty
stand
hearts.
Yeah.
That'd be
Lovely.
cute though.
When it lasts longer.
I need kitty heart ears.
Yeah.
You're right.
Fucking Dream Angels, like we have to have a race for the name off.
Dream angels. Oh, you can do a
I
cat
want to
voice.
see you guys
You're
in
just
the
a brain.
desert with
You're
Okay.
gonna
some,
be
like,
out there like Grease, like singing songs on your hot rods in the desert.
Okay.
I got you.
If you're just joining, we
Just
are
have a
competing
bunch of
tonight for the top of the podium, and top of the podium gets a Steam key. Random Steam key tonight for a game. So, okay. Oh, light up ears. Okay, we'll do that in a second. But yes, that's what we're doing. So we're about to find out who wins the next key right now.
Not gonna be me because I fell off. So.
And
Not always
coming
true,
up
'cause you
in
can fall
third
off
Random's
place
up. Oh,
is...
yes.
Still manage to win.
All right.
We don't know how
Ready?
it works.
Set.
Oh.
Wiggles gets third place.
Oh.
Congrats.
I didn't know Danger Noodle was playing.
Now you do.
Second
Oh.
place goes to Limit. First place goes to Tex. Tex gets a key.
Oh,
Congrats, Tex.
Riggs.
Oh, Sheffield in the house.
This guy, I don't even know this guy.
Bloody wins. Thank you so much. Thank you
Next,
very
we have
much.
to talk about this. We have to drug test Tex.
Woot woot.
Oh, that's a fail.
That's always your answer, isn't
Hey,
it?
hey. I didn't say it was gonna be a fail.
And I gotta find my light of ears in just a second after I get the map loaded.
Come up to him, go.
Oh.
Yeah, you fell.
Play.
This place.
Oh, it's a Valentine's Day. Oh, remind me next time, and we can probably buy a Valentine's Day marble.
Hi, how are you?
I didn't even think about that. It's kind of late in the game, but I can get a Valentine's Day marble. I have enough coins. We'll see if there's a cute one available. If there's not a cute one, I won't.
Excuse me, sir. We're just waiting for the stop sign to turn green.
Yeah.
But yes, exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Let's go! Don't get
Hi.
back.
Hi.
Like
Oh
Battle
my
Cat.
gosh. I almost
How are
posted
you?
the key again. What
My
the heck?
My first
How
one
high are you?
was one with number 4. So
Hi, I'm good.
number 4.
If I could find
Why you
it.
have to go
Hi.
burn me
How
like
are you?
that?
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
I just making sure you're awake.
How are you?
Do you have any drugs on you? Why? Do you want to party, sir?
You
Let's
cops always
see.
ask me that, but
Why,
I,
you
I
got
always
some?
end up.
Are you looking to
Let's
buy?
see.
I seen the one where
Ugh.
the cop guy
God
pulls
damn it.
this
I was about to
this
add
guy
another
over the
quote.
car.
Light
And
up
he's like,
ears.
Hey,
What on the
you
party
are.
cat
I
ears?
got
Good
a,
one, man.
he's like, I got a,
There
I
we
got a
go.
stand of weed coming out the car. Like, do you have
I
any?
can't
He's
tell
like,
if they're on
yeah,
straight,
yeah,
though.
in California,
Oh, I did.
you're allowed to have a certain
Are they on
amount as
straight?
long as you prove that it's not illegal.
Kinda?
You know, to carry
There we
it
go.
around. Okay, no problem.
That
He's
looks
like, "Do you
right to
mind showing it
me. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, holds up the bag and says, okay, can you open it for me, sir? Yeah,
I
and
think
he
you do.
sniffs it. He's like, okay, now can you put that out the window?
Oh, yeah, I've
Go
seen
with
that
the
one too.
Is it? Yeah. So we're gonna give you a ticket because that shit was
Woo!
like that
Crap.
stuff was shit.
Dreams Angels is in the
Yeah,
win.
yeah. That's a
We're in the
joke,
first
though.
place
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
win.
Anyways,
That wasn't
cheers,
real.
everybody.
Oh.
Can we at least get a cheers tonight? At
Here,
least.
here.
Just
Here.
one.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, out of my Ninja Turtle.
Good,
That
good.
thing is so weird looking.
Yeah,
I
they
am
do.
so
It was just
jelly
fun
of
for
your
a short
Leonardo
minute.
mug. Okay.
This is why he's gonna go to your house
Dude,
and
when I
you're,
come
you're
to
gonna
visit
miss
you,
it.
you better lock that up.
No, I'm gonna lock you up. No, I'm playing.
No,
Yes,
no. I
yes,
thought
I
thought
do
that
know what
was.
you're
Well, I thought that was the norm.
Who's locking who
Dude,
up now?
Hold
You know
on,
what-
Wiggles. I thought that was the norm. I
That's what
thought
I'm
that was
saying.
gonna
Eh?
actually happen.
That's what I
Every
said,
time
you know what I'm
Wiggles
saying.
says that, every time
No,
Wiggles says that, you know what I'm saying? I was like, yes, I do know what you're saying because it's like one of these sketches from South Park, and
No, it's Weird Al.
oh, is it?
Yeah.
Know what I'm saying?
I thought it was
No,
from South Park where
Yeah, I did. No, that
Actually,
was
the
Discord.
other-
I
the
was
other
talking
cartoon-
about.
goes up and is like, yes, I do know what you're
It
saying.
was Discord that you wrote.
No, I'm fine.
There was also Hank Hill. Like, what cartoon was that? King
Oh,
Hill. King of
Hell
Hill.
yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
Tex
Bobby.
is showing us
What,
how
David,
it's
Bobby?
done.
God damn it, Bobby.
Showing us how it's done. Look at you with the
You
A-ball.
boys been whacking in my bullshit again.
Desi fell
Well,
off the
Tex-
track. We lost Lady
I
Rain,
told you we
Lemon,
shall propane.
Silent.
Propane and propane accessories.
Well, if Tex wins, I win.
And I'll tell you right now, Bobby,
See,
you're a
where's
big
everybody
liar.
else at? Way up here still.
Am I even on the track? I don't think so.
I don't know. Silent fell off, Lemon fell off, Rain fell off, Desi fell
Doesn't
off.
look like I am.
It looks
I'm
like
not joining
Dream
again.
Waver and Dream Angels are still there.
Hey,
I'm too
Don't
busy
judge me.
watching.
There we go. We got Angel
Hi,
Wafers
welcome.
coding it.
It's a crazy night.
Welcome to the stream, Randall. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you're doing good tonight. Welcome to the stream.
I'm sorry. I'm so bad. Once I get started on the voice, it's like terrible.
I know.
We all know.
Yeah. I do love the.
How's it been? It's been good.
Voiceovers from.
I hope you have a good night
This summer.
and stream. I'm going to start getting ready for today. Heading to mates to play games later. Ooh, sounds like fun. Have fun today, Silent. Good night. Sleep well.
You do that pretty well.
All right, Tex. Played all the streams. Congrats. Amusing downfall.
I'm actually pretty good at that kind of thing.
How's it been so far? It's been great. I mean, I worked most of the day, but it was fine. And now I'm here hanging out with all my community on a Friday night, so I can't ask for much better.
Yeah, it's a good night. There's a lot of laughs, and it's a good.
Wish you all a good day. Thank you. Yeah, we're laughing our heads off today. Exclamation play. Oh, Delos get his booty burnt.
I have to work at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Come with me if you want to
No,
live.
I don't have to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm just ladies.
Little tortilla.
Hey, you guys want to hear something
Just
cool?
lazy.
You guys want to hear something cool?
Always.
So, because of the merge with this new facility, because Canada has Monday off for, I think it's like Friendship Day or something, and it falls on President's Day in the US.
That's
they
cool.
gave us all the day off. I have Monday off.
Oh yeah.
He works for a Canadian. He works for a Canadian company.
It's also President's
I work for a
Day.
Canadian company.
Yeah, that's the best part there. He works.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's President's Day in the U.S. and Canada has the day off on Monday
All
for a
right,
different
Tex, I'm
reason.
messaging you.
That's awesome.
No, I know, but it's so weird that your company didn't already have President's Day off.
I don't work
Yeah,
for the
Wiggles
government.
is sent from Canada.
I guess.
Not directly.
No, he works for.
I sent you a free game because you won,
Monday off as
Tex.
well, buddy.
Just letting you
do work
know.
for the
I posted
government,
it in
but
your
we don't.
Discord chat.
We're not
No,
funded
you
the government.
contract to the government. You don't
Yeah, you're
work for the
contract.
government.
Correct.
I got Monday off as well, buddy, so it's gonna be fucking great. And it's the
Ooh,
Six Nations
that's
Scotland
congrats.
versus
What are you
England
gonna do
tomorrow.
with all that time there?
Scotland versus
There's no
England.
classes on
let's
Monday,
see.
but it's professional development
Play
day,
with
so I don't
Oh.
have
more
off.
tacos. Tacos.
PD.
Dun, dun,
But I
dun, dun.
get to sit in
It's family day
lectures
here. Oh,
about
that's so
Oh,
cool.
that does
Okay.
not sound great.
Labor Day.
Welcome to the
Hello,
lifestyles
Canadians.
of the rich and attending lectures.
Oh, Labrador. You're from
My
Labrador
friend
Dreams.
in Canada is a teacher, and she gets
James
PD.
is from Canada. Dream Angels.
Like
Did I
It
win
was a
again?
joke. The rich thing had nothing to do with
every
anything.
couple of months or something like that, or every couple of months.
I
she
don't know
has
if
to
I
go
asked you
do
this
PD.
before, but what's the funniest anime you've ever
Yeah,
watched?
I'm not a
Oh
teacher.
my
I
gosh,
work in
funniest?
college. I don't teach.
Oh,
But-
I really find Food Wars
You don't
hilarious.
want me teaching.
Personal development.
I don't know if it's the
college?
funniest one I ever watched, but it comes to mind.
You said you work for a college?
Yeah.
Food Wars is pretty
What do you
good,
do?
actually.
She probably does.
I'm in the finance department.
I said actually, oh my god,
Tuesday
I'm like
is
the
better.
character.
Oh,
Hold on,
My
Dream.
younger
Canada
brother,
is
he's
going
like-
Angel?
to US tomorrow night.
that?
Four nations. Oh,
Hold on. I have to talk.
We're
to
gonna have
the
some
other
wars
Dream
here.
Oh my god.
Gonna have some battles here.
Oh god.
My younger
You
brother,
wish.
he's dean.
Pokemon battles.
We're a
Oh,
lot
okay.
bigger
Federal
physical
University.
team than you guys are.
Gotcha.
You,
Yeah,
And
we're
we have better
we're all
goaltending.
pretty small,
Yeah.
but
I know.
Yeah.
He's just pulling your leg.
nice.
So I
I
love
probably
hockey.
just smeared makeup all
Angels,
over my face.
Angels, I love hockey.
Good
I
job.
know.
This is
That's
why I
right.
don't wear makeup. I'm like sitting here
my goodness.
smudging it all over the
Hold on,
place.
I gotta turn some people down.
Good.
Wow, I'm surprised. I might be one of them, and that's okay.
No, not because
Probably
you're
me.
loud, because for some strange reason, everybody's at 200.
We're
yeah,
abnormally
yeah.
loud as a
Yeah.
You
group.
got kicked from Discord
As we all start
last
thought
yelling
you
at you
had
at the
me at
same
250.
time.
Like, I
Does this
guess
help,
his
really? Is
Discord
this
got,
making it easier for you?
like
Oh,
completely
lady, what?
reset. All of his audio
Oh.
got reset
Oh,
last
that's
night.
bad.
So yeah,
Oh.
Discord's been wonky lately. And
Do you know
like
what's related?
resetting
Let's
people's
go.
shit.
Exclamation
Yeah,
play, guys.
hey,
Exclamation play to join the
I
race.
love that.
She
Uh,
went-
not the Dream here.
Battle
but
Cat got
Dream
burned
in
again.
chat.
Oh, poor
Is,
Battle Cat.
Yes,
I don't know
you
what that
guys have
means.
better.
We're
skilled
one
players,
race
but
away from another
it's like in
key.
the playoffs.
Look, you be the winner.
Or better goalies.
Yeah, I'm
All right, good
Yeah.
night,
following
Ryan.
right
Thanks for
behind Ray.
playing. Take care.
Good night, guys.
Bye, ladies. Have a good day.
Nobody burns my butt.
Poke catch, guys. Poke catch
Do you know
Pokemon.
Do you know what's funny, mate? Is that see when like how you were saying it's cranked up to 200. See if I have everyone cranked up to 200 my ears, it's great because I'll sleep like a baby. Because instead of listening to rain,
Happy Valentine's Day, Kimono. Thank you, April.
the ringing in my
Happy
ear,
you
and
too.
fucking white noise.
Welcome
It's
to
lovely.
Steam. Thank you for the
I know
heart.
it's like
Thank you, thank you, thank you,
one
thank
step
you.
fucking tonight, but you know what I mean?
I hope you guys are doing amazing.
Fucking hell,
Stay
you
and
just
play for a chance to win a Steam
No, I
key.
did not.
All you have to do is be the best of 3 races.
No, no, I'm sorry. I'm in my own little world, man.
Use Hill over
Sorry, I'm on.
Bennington's against
we're
US
on.
because Hill
Dude,
ain't
I think,
afraid to actually hit players. That's how my
on
Golden Knights
Thursday?
won the cup.
No, that's very true. He's actually very right.
Yeah.
There's actually they have more cups on their goaltender ability,
Hmm.
I guess. But I could talk to him for hours.
Is this?
or She,
Is this
probably him,
good,
most likely.
good time at all, if any, to ask
I love
how
hockey. I really do.
how the lawsuit's going?
Lawsuits. Litigation cases?
We're live on stream. I wouldn't talk about any litigation cases while we're live.
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
Anyways, my social security number is 444.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just remember, we are live, guys.
Mine is if you can
It's
find
90210.
Yeah. If you find
It's
anyone in
awesome
the
to have another hockey
My number is
player.
55555 alive.
When we're off stream, I'll tell you guys what happened on yesterday.
Oh, really? I actually want to know because it's probably the end of the story that I know.
I believe it is my
Super
career's
best.
greatest accomplishment.
Perfect.
That's
I mean, that's a hell of a fucking
statement.
accomplishment. Yeah. Hell of an
I can probably say this. I think
Angel, I
I just
don't have that much
had
control.
somebody sign the largest purchase order in the history of my company.
Oh
Nice.
wow. You're just
I
doing
did
great.
order.
You've done so many amazing things.
I love
Yeah.
So,
POs.
let me tell
At
you
your
something.
company?
What helps? Yeah, what helps
You're
is
just
an
like-
amazing support system. Going from a
Yeah.
mom and pop shop to now being part of a kind of corporation, the
Oh,
tools
there
are
I
just
go.
so many
Yeah.
more tools are available for you, including a sales team that does the
Jesse.
harder
I will
work
say,
and
though,
bringing
selling
the
yourself and claiming it as part of the company's
Hockey's in my
biggest
blood.
sale
I was
is
almost
not
drafted
sales.
in the 7th round by the Ducks before I broke my leg. I should still
What was
be
that look for,
in
Squints?
No.
You don't only fucking joke
your
for Christ's
Discord
sake.
No,
if
no,
you'd
no, I
like
know.
to
No, I'm
add
not,
me.
dude.
Let's
I'm
see.
trying to
I
listen to
told,
Mono
I
talk
told
to.
him
and-
I don't have any power. It's not me.
Sorry, I was reading chat.
No, you're good.
I'm giving random keys away in Discord tonight too. I'll probably drop another one in a few minutes. By the way.
I'm not even paying attention.
I'm fucking. I'm spaced out.
Get in there and
You're
win a
fine.
game.
I almost didn't even come down.
All
I
you
was
need
like,
to do is wait for the next round of marbles and play exclamation point play.
So, so I was gonna go. I was gonna get crab legs for dinner with me and my wife tonight. And no, and I did.
Okay.
But when I went to the grocery store, they're normally a little bit more expensive.
Of course.
And the dude's like, it's $7.49 a pound.
Damn.
And he opens the box and pulls out this.
That's
Obviously,
not
they're
bad.
it's cheap as shit.
No, I'm gonna.
Yeah,
mute
it's a
myself
good price.
'cause-
It's a really good price.
He
Yeah.
pulls
I'm gonna
out.
have to mute
They're
myself.
frozen. They're frozen.
Jeez, this
obviously.
is a long track.
It's
So
fine.
he
You'd rather them
Yeah.
frozen in the
So he
Midwest.
opens up this box and reaches into the bag in
Let's
the box
see.
and takes these out, and it's literally a block that's
Does it
this
say
big
Pepsi?
by this big
Oh,
by probably about that
Crab,
wide.
crab,
Yeah,
crab.
bodies
That's a
and legs
540.
are
That's a
just intertwined.
race. That's like
And
a
I'm like,
NASCAR race.
I'm
I
just
think.
like,
Come on.
well, put
Is
that on
it?
the scale. What does that weigh? He's like, puts it on it. I'm like
Come on.
7, 8,
I got it.
7.8 pounds. I'm like, fuck it, I'll take it.
See what happens.
I bought the
when
whole
you don't
fucking
mention
block.
First kimono. It's great. That's twice now.
Oh jeez,
So we-
Did
is
you
that
take
a
any
NASCAR
pictures
race?
while you were cooking that up?
What's that?
Did
Yeah.
you take pictures?
My wife did, I think.
Brilliant. Because that's an
Oh, that's
impressive.
awesome.
That's an
I'm not
impressive
sure.
meal.
A pound, like.
I love crab. I really do.
Trust me, I don't actually like crab, but I do like a pound of any food.
I'm sure I seen somewhere where there was this guy or girl, I can't quite remember to be specific. They were at like a Red Lobster thing, and they were just eating like
Buttermilk biscuits.
Let's see.
no, like
Okay, here we are.
prawn tails, like what do you call them? Like the wee
Y'all
fucking-
ready?
Shrimp.
Ready?
Shrimp. So they were eating them, and this
Anyways,
guy,
who's
who was
gonna be
from the
third
UK,
place?
went to obviously America.
I don't know. I'm
and
gonna
he's
find
like,
out.
Like, this
Don't
is
know.
quite a big portion. Like, what's the average fucking weight?
Third
people-
place
We can
goes
normally
to
talk this way.
7 pounds
Desi. Desi, I kind of want to see you win. You've been out here rolling all night. Some nights you like win every Grand Prix.
Keep on rolling.
Second place goes to Tex.
I bet.
And first place goes to
I
Dreams,
bet.
which is already won.
Fuck yeah.
Aha,
And
you don't get
Tex
more-
is
you don't get
already
more
won.
exits.
So the
Tex is
key
already won.
actually goes to Desi because you can only win one key tonight.
No, Dream.
I
You
did
did.
win a key.
You did. You gave it away. Remember?
Oh, you
You
fucking.
remember?
Yeah, you can only win one chance tonight.
I didn't copy pasta.
Name kind of lives rent
No,
free
you
in my
didn't
head,
post a
Dream
copy.
Angels.
Dream, the dream in this video chat, you're dreaming.
I've lost my.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Dreams Angels. Sounds-
So full disclosure, I hearted the key. I also did not copy pasta.
Yeah, that's all I done.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it right now. Figure it out later, or just give
Okay.
it to somebody else. Like I'm not.
Oh, okay, so you didn't claim it, you just hearted it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I done with the last one.
Oh, was I supposed to
claim
heart
what
my
Jeffron
message?
gave me, which I do appreciate.
No, you're good. They're talking about in general
claimed
chat.
Do you know what? Do you know what? At the end of the day,
I still
I'm
have
here for a
another-
good time.
Okay,
Hey.
so I'm gonna get the next race started.
Squints, look in chat.
And Desi,
In what?
I know it looks fucking great.
All the
I
top
can
right.
message you.
Mmm.
And those are crab
But-
cakes.
What'd you say, Dreams?
Mmm.
Wait, Dreamweaver?
I said I'm here for a good time, not a long time, so I don't care.
Okay. All good. I'm in
That
college
looks
now for athletics and
tasty.
analyze. And
Secretly better though.
so I can be a broadcaster? That's cool.
So they
You know what I
That
love
sounds
most
like
about
fun,
seafood
too.
boil is
It sounds
like, just
safer, honestly.
pounding the spices to the water.
Well, I want to hear your voice.
And, like,
see, I want to see
oh.
because it takes a
You know,
lot to be a
There you go. Exclamation play, guys. Exclamation play. Get your marble on the track.
Oh,
Hurry, hurry, hurry.
am I gonna put the key in again? Nope.
I don't know if this is everyone's kind of ideal of a dinner, right? But see, for me, I love,
Well, I need to join.
always
Sorry.
have done, love the idea of make everything in abundance and pour it all across the fucking table. Help yourself. You know, like nachos. You make a big platter of fucking nachos. You
Nachos.
know,
A platter of nachos, if you will.
it's like
I've
like
seen that. So
a full-size table fucking charcuterie.
yeah, I've
You know what I
seen
mean?
it. Yeah, I don't
It's
know, dude. It makes it.
incredible.
It makes it kind of weird, you know.
It's so
You put-
cheap.
You
For-
put
yeah.
food on plates because it makes it not seem so animalistic. If you just put a bunch of
Come
slop
on
on the
up to the
fucking,
nacho trough.
a bunch of
Nah.
slop, yeah, on the fucking table. It's
Oh no.
I love it. I love that style of cooking. I love that
Nah.
style of fucking like, you know, what I mean, you got a seafood broil, for instance. Pour the whole lot across the fucking table.
Let's
Just
see.
munch whatever you want to munch. Job done. And whatever you don't eat, which is really highly likely, that you'll have about fucking 2 dinners for the next the days after.
yeah, you don't want seafood left over.
Mm.
Seafood you
But
eat
you know
that
what I mean?
day. Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like that kind of Italian type fucking
yeah.
charcuterie that you just put out with fucking grapes and whatever the fuck else, you know? It's really, really nice. To me, it's really appealing. I love it.
So guys, I'm back. I changed my outfit
Welcome
just
back.
a tad for the occasion.
What did you do? Oh, that's so cool.
You had me scared.
Is that,
You had me scared.
That is so
Burt
cool.
Reynolds?
Welcome, guys. First time to chat. Welcome.
You had me scared.
Drink
there for a
water.
minute,
Thank you,
man.
Dreams Angels.
I didn't know
Alex,
who you were. I was like,
welcome. Happy Valentine's Day, guys. I promise I'm not ignoring you. I was handing out a key.
I was gonna text a mod there.
Fucking, I don't know.
If you're just joining the races tonight, person that gets first place on the podium gets a key.
Anyways, Angel.
A Steam game key. Random Steam game key.
You look like a rapist cop.
Wow.
Oh my god.
That's not the
Can we
look
ban
I'm going
this
for
stream
quite.
Wait, hold on.
Oh yeah, I need to. I haven't logged in in a while. It's been really busy the last couple weeks, Stream Angels.
Yeah, if I
Dream
could take this
It's
off
been
my
so
chains, it'd be
busy.
perfect.
I think about it, but I've been playing
Angels, join waiting room. I'm gonna be over there. No, can you join that? Actually.
Yeah, wait, and then fucking someone will tell you.
No, I just want to see.
No, I don't think anybody will.
Anyways, I'm
What did
gonna
I hit?
Go to the wait.
Hit the wrong thing. Oh, have you played the Pokemon Pocket TCG Dreams Angels? Got it? Thank you, Dusty. I'm glad you got it. Feel free to share with anybody. If you don't want it, you can more than welcome to give it away and pass it along.
Actually came in
I
first.
can't believe I gave up my opportunity to have that game. I was holding out for something better. That's why I thought if I pass it on.
We'll do it again. Don't worry. There'll be more games.
It's alright.
I have quite a few keys. We're not gonna all give them away tonight, and then you can start over the next time.
Elephant?
I try to wait, Dragon.
Dragon
deck for Pocket?
Or not for anybody in particular.
I hope
but
it's
then, like, where
good.
it takes turns like trying to swap and keep and.
I just
whatever
started
gifts.
playing really. I think I'm level. I think I made it to level
Is that
10.
what you thought? Is that what you thought?
I haven't tried that deck yet though. Congratulations, Battle Cat!
Got a weird message from somewhere deep in the bowels of my Discord.
I have not. What call? Question mark? You're very quiet. What's it called? Man, I can't read tonight. It's a Pokemon Pocket, and it's a TCG card
that
game.
One weird bot's
Oh,
been
that's
quiet.
right. I downloaded that.
Yeah.
I
Pokemon
haven't
Pocket
had to read
TCG card game. You just collect all the Pokemon
Combat.
cards. That's all you do. But you can trade with friends. It doesn't let you trade like more than one every 24 hours or something, but it lets you trade.
with friends.
Why is this thing not? It might help if I actually click start the timer. I'm such a sucker. Okay, let's try this again.
Oh, I don't think I played. Whoops.
Shocky got booted.
Wait, no, I still have time.
Let's see. Friends. Dream. Angel. There, I'm accepting your gift now.
Where'd Joe go?
Weird Al Yankovic.
Is we talking to Dream Angels.
Da, 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 da. Oh, we need our commentator. Hold on, I gotta turn you up.
There goes Flint.
Here we go. FrostyTools.com says, thank you for your support during these ad breaks. Be right back soon. In the shadowy corners of KimonoKat's Marvel Metropolis, whispers of Valentine's cheer mingle with the thrill of the game. Tex 1127's Sheffield sleuthing stirs curiosity, while Dream Angels hockey beats strong against the USA. Marbles roll and butts burn as Kimono's wrath is unleashed upon Electroshock 480. Amidst the chaos, a wild Lockix escapes into the night. Happy Valentine's Day indeed.
Thank
You're
you.
definitely a fucking newsreader, for sure.
Oh, a commentator, yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah, newsreader. And today, complete devastation.
It's like
breaking news.
Yeah.
Everything is wild.
It just reminds me of Anchorman. Where
Dude,
he's
you
like,
could do it. You could do
like,
it.
what's the name of the guy that?
Wait, are you saying I have a face for radio?
No,
Yeah.
I mean, what's the name of the guy in Anchorman that's fucking the
Ron
reveal
Burgundy.
guy? No.
Oh, the other guy.
The guy that's just like loud noises.
Oh, yeah, Steve Carell plays him, but yeah, I don't remember the character's name. Oh, it was
my butt,
Tank
my
or
butt.
something like
Yes,
that.
it's always the fire shocking.
So it's like, we'll go over to Tank for the.
There we go. Well, ship because it's Valentine's Day.
It's really wet. Okay, thanks.
Oh!
Yeah, I can't remember what
Texas,
his name was. It
take
was something
it.
like that, though.
What the hell is it?
Splints. There you go.
What did I do?
I ship with Splints.
Oh
so
no!
I'm a Mr. Cat or a Kimono Splints.
We're gonna have to ask Taylor about that.
Where are we selling Tex? Are we a Tex Cat? He thinks we're shipping on a ship.
Well, I am shipping with Tex.
I guess y'all are sailing out.
We're a bunch of men at sea. We're seamen.
Oh, no.
Wait, you're a seaman?
Love you guys.
All right.
What? Don't be sorry.
I'm not really. It's.
I don't get the ship. It's like a partner.
I'm playing Jilly or whatever.
Shipping means like, you know, you're a couple. Or like kind of like friendship, a relationship. So then you come up with like a joint name that you would
like
make.
Burt Macklin a little bit.
Kind of like if you had a kid and your kid had to take on part of your name and your partner's name. And you go with that. Congratulations, Dreams Angels. One more race.
Are you surprised?
Or is this the second race? Maybe this is the second race.
No, I love how we just all went into it for a minute.
Hey, wait, Wiggles is here? What?
Burt Macklin is here.
Oh, Burt Macklin's here. Does Circo know that Burt Macklin?
I don't think so, and I did a poor job of explaining it.
I mean, I know the song that y'all was singing.
No. Burt Macklin,
do you
though.
know who Burt Macklin is?
It's from the show Parks and Recs.
It's from Parks and Rec, yeah.
Hello.
Hi, lady.
What's up, Rain? My being requested back to voice.
Look at Shane, he's all dressed up.
Yeah, look at me.
It's Burt Macklin.
He matches my outfit.
That's what Spence and I were just joking about. Because he looks like Burt Macklin.
I just wanted to lay here.
It's pretty good.
Dude, okay, Circo, I don't mean to be rude or anything, but you look fucking amazing.
It is amazing. Yeah.
Also, pardon.
Oh, whoops! Did I not join?
That was the only reason I called you back.
Oh, I did. Okay.
Just to see your reaction. Yeah.
Hey, Rain, are you feeling better now that you see Burt Macklin?
Burt Macklin?
No, I'm so fucking tired.
Hey, happy Valentine's Day, and you know that we love you, right?
Yeah, I know.
Ooh, Sharky got first place.
Go back to bed.
Alright, this is it. We
Dude,
win.
my eyes have been twitching all night. It's been wonderful.
It's been wonderful.
Is that sleep
No, it's stress.
Deprivation.
It is anxiety, stress. Definitely do it. Does
Yeah,
it work?
It's going.
Oh my god.
I hate when my eye twitches from work.
My eye is just twitching.
Battle Cat with third place.
I just looked
Second
up the
place
character y'all
goes
was
to
talking
Shane.
Burt Macklin? Yeah.
Hey, at least I made it.
First place goes to Dreams Angels.
Fucking.
But Sean, you don't feel bad about that, right? Like Burt Macklin, he's a handsome dude. He's also an FBI agent.
I mean, I guess if I can look like Chris Pratt, I mean that's a plus, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I dream.
See, that's all we're saying, you know?
He's also married to Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter.
You don't have a Steam? Okay. So who else got second place? Does that so by default should I? You can gift it to Michigan. Absolutely. You want it, you can give it to whoever you want.
I don't know. I just thought I'd get a rouse out of people.
Okay. It'll go to Michigan.
You nailed it.
It clearly works.
It's Arnold.
Michigan, you're getting another game.
You're getting all the games tonight.
Fucking hell.
Well, you made your choice. Now sleep in it.
I'm gonna sleep in it, yes.
No, not you, Joe. I'm talking to Waver.
No, I'm still gonna sleep in it.
Sleep now in this fire.
No, in my clothes.
Don't do that. Get the next race lined up here.
Apologies, Mono. I had to do the dog walk.
How dare you?
No worries. Doggos
Speaking
are
of-
important.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a picture in chat. So we've got a shit ton of snow by us,
Go.
and
We have like
But-
like 6
Play.
Mr. Benson is.
Get your
very-
plays in, people.
Is Mr. Benson?
Oh
in
damn it! Look at
heaven?
that! I just fucking did that. I did
Get
just
your
do that.
plays in. Oh, you put the key in. You pulled a lady. Rain.
Wiggles, can I ask you a question?
I'm
Mr.
trying to brush it
Benson
off on
in
her
heaven?
because, like, I initially started with the whole POC thing. PCO. Yeah.
Wiggles, is Benson in heaven?
Yeah.
The like border collie mix.
Let's go. Wiggles, why are you pasting keys in chat again?
Accidentally.
Because he
I'm
also
actually
wanted to
not
make a
again.
reference to post.
I love it.
Sorry.
I love how everybody I give a key to accidentally paste their key in chat after they pasted it into Steam.
I might
Because they
have
had to
be
copy it to
just-
paste it into Steam, so then they copied it into chat.
I might have to do it just to be part of the crew. Just-
No, you're better than us. Stay better than.
I definitely.
You have not fouled at the game of chat.
Alright. I think it's time to do a thing, too. I haven't done this. Oh, if I could get out of this dang ball. I got trapped. There. I hate it when that happens.
Makes me dizzy when I spin right round.
Right round, like a record, baby, right round. I blame you, Splints.
We all blame him. Yeah.
I'm pretty culpable.
No,
Yeah,
you're
I
hard to
posted 2 pictures in our chat, man.
I was too busy thinking about getting spun right round.
my god, he's so handsome.
Don't flirt me with
Look
a good
at
time.
him. Oh my gosh.
That's a very beautiful dog. Very beautiful.
Nice.
Dog.
I did the wrong thing.
He looks mad.
Oh, he absolutely loves it.
Yeah.
Dude, so do you know what a fox dive is?
Yeah, when they do like the blot, like
Yeah, like they sneak up and then jump up in the air and then they nose dive into the snow. He does that. Like as soon as he gets outside, he gets a running start, jumps as high as he can, and just full face into a pile of snow.
you could basically
I think it's
tell
a white
those.
fox that does that, isn't it? White fox does that in the Antarctic.
Red
Yeah.
fox. Red fox.
I thought it was a white fox that does that in the
Text.
Antarctic.
I think
Oh,
it's
It
yeah.
also has a square face.
Does it?
Yes.
This is a long map. You guys gotta get down there.
It's orange, white,
I was text first.
and it has a
he's
square
almost
face.
last.
And
Because
That
he's
second
up
picture
top and it
is
looks
greater
like
than
he's
it.
closer to the finish line because the finish line loops around.
Art Macklin.
Wiggles is actually closer to the finish line.
Is that a
I'm gonna win.
French flag?
Whoa, until he hits some
I want
explosive
Wiggles.
blocks.
I want Wiggles to win, which is
I'm just curious. I'm not like criticizing.
Why does that look like an eggplant?
What, on my wall? Or on my
It
door?
Oh
looks
yes,
like
on
a
your
lot
wall.
of
Yeah.
That's it looks like
issues.
a very suspicious eggplant.
It is a French flag.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have no comment in this.
You guys,
I'm not
oh,
trying to
then
draw-
you can
I'm
go
not
through
trying
a
to draw
field goal.
attention.
Yep,
I
yep.
was just curious.
Touchdown! Oh, wait a minute.
There's also an Eiffel Tower right here.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah,
What
that's
were
from
you
the back of
thinking,
the-
Joe?
That's from the back of the
Sorry,
Eiffel
that
Tower.
was my bad.
That's where you're looking
And
from.
Wiggles gets
Right.
first place.
Finally,
I was
Oh, Wiggles
supposedly the recipient of a message.
You sure it's an
What
eggplant?
message
It
was-
might not be. I don't know.
Why do you ask, Spence?
Oh no, I was just curious. That's all. I
Okay.
First of all,
All right,
I wasn't
that's-
even
that's fine.
sure that was the actual
Excuse me,
flag.
kind of thing.
Like, I don't know if that was like I was taking a guess that it was that country, basically. So that was like me being like vulnerable, saying like, "Am I asking the right question here?"
No.
That's all
I
it
mean,
was.
it's on its side. It's on its side.
All right.
Yeah,
Next
but-
race.
The French flag
Abducted
is on
alien
like, it's like that,
concept.
then that is
I got
I forgot to pick a new marble skin. I keep forgetting.
like Scandinavian flag.
Aliens.
That has nothing to do with the question you asked me.
Aliens.
I'm gonna use the kimono ball. It might be.
All
it
right.
might have some power stuff in it. I
But
don't know.
anyways, I was just curious. I'll just leave it at that.
No, you're good. You're good. I've got multiple flags hanging up in my house.
All right.
I got one.
Here we go.
I wasn't quite okay.
You are lurking
To be
and
clear, I was not
listening.
questioning allegiance or anything like that.
And
I
new
was just
to my
curious.
community.
I was just
Take
curious
a
if that
moment
was actually
to jump in
the flag
Discord
of
if you
France.
want a chance to
Yeah,
win
yeah.
a key.
Because
I am
I
going to
wasn't
place
sure.
a random
wasn't sure.
key in my general chat.
You're good.
Oh,
I ask that you have already won a key tonight. Please don't claim it. Give somebody else that has not won a key a chance. But, you know, heart it. If you want it, put a heart on it quickly, and I will delete it as soon as it receives a
What sort
heart.
are you while she's trying to talk?
So let's get ready. I'll give you a few more seconds.
Where do you put
I'll,
this?
no.
you already had one.
Da, 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 da.
You
Anyways,
can
yeah.
still play.
Ready?
You just shouldn't win.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Set.
It's not my
I
channel.
didn't
Oh,
get
I
in on
didn't get
this
in.
one.
I was an idiot.
Damn it.
5, 4,
Okay.
I am the idiot.
3, 2, 1. Heart it if you want it. Heart it
Everybody
now.
get Knives out. Everybody get their knives out.
And make sure you copy and paste it.
The
Because I
game
will
key.
delete it.
Copy and paste it in Steam. Not in Steam. In Twitch chat.
In Discord. And in
Go, 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 go.
I just.
Every one of us, well, not every one of us. Lady
Not me,
didn't do it.
yeah.
Lady didn't do it. Michigan didn't. Or no, actually, Lady did. Michigan's the only one who hasn't yet.
And I got 3 of them numbers.
What playing?
No, put the key in chat by accident.
Da, 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 da.
Oh, do I have a pace? I actually do. I'm scared. No, I'm not.
Because all of us are used to pasting like play.
I think almost everyone here has wanted key tonight, though.
And then like we forget. Oops, we copied the key.
I played.
All right, it's been long enough. If you want a key already, I don't care. If you want this one, heart it quickly.
Idiot.
Kelly, do you see the photo of my dog, Oscar?
Yeah, he's such a handsome boy.
Sorry, is he in the side chat?
Side chat.
Yeah.
Who's your puppy?
This is an interesting. It kind of looks.
Look at his
It
little
definitely
tongue.
looks like. Oh, dang! They did such a good job making it look like the
So-
alien character. You guys see
He's
this?
still a happy young boy, even though he's old. It's okay. He's a happy boy.
Yeah, alien. Dang, they did a good job.
Aliens Earth.
Even got the face sucker thing in here. The face hugger.
On the Liberty statue, or the Statue of Liberty, like.
That's so good. They did a really good job at making that map.
Wow.
It's a shame the map or the roller coaster doesn't actually go through it. Or does it?
What?
No, I don't know, Shocky. I don't know. Nice try, Michigan. Love your key.
It's a shame that the map doesn't go
Also, poke catch, guys, if you catch Pokemons.
Oh, we're talking about two totally different things. Okay. Sorry.
Well, then let's just all get on the same fucking page, yeah?
No, now I'm caught
Michigan,
up.
I'm gonna
I
I'm gonna
understand what you're
download this
talking.
key. And if it,
Look,
if it
his
gives
Zen
me
has
some,
been
like,
caught by
Asian
Tex.
inappropriate
Congratulations,
videos,
Tex.
I'm gonna be very upset at you, okay?
He takes the key, and it turns out to be like
Asian
one of
butt
those
stuff.
Key, like, yeah.
light
You get,
novels.
like lifetime gas or something like.
You just won Subway for life.
I'll be like,
Yes,
damn it,
again with the lucky KimonoKat marble.
Oh, I won. Too. See, I knew if I picked this, I would probably have some powers.
Powers.
Dun, 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 dun. All right,
Yeah, honestly,
next,
I won that
Michigan
tournament.
Turtle. You guys,
I don't cheat
Wiggle's
here.
definitely rigged.
No.
You
no,
know nothing.
They're just jealous.
Doot, doot. I hit all the play buttons that time.
I'm gonna use the same ball. And
Oh,
watch me
Splits
win.
gets burned this time.
Uh-oh.
Okay, enough of these crappy sunglasses.
Let's go! Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Exclamation play. Oh,
I got burned
Battle Cat
again.
gets burnt.
How many times is that today?
A lot.
You're very
I'm burning
burnable.
your
I don't know.
biscuits.
You're lucky
Very
at
burnable.
getting burnt, apparently. You got some
Yeah,
kind of
I
luck.
guess.
I'm just not sure if it's this kind you want. Oh, you're lucky at getting kisses too. Maybe.
No,
It is
it's
Valentine's
cousin
Day.
love, you know, it's cousin love.
Yeah, kiss it where it burns. Kiss it where it burns.
Oh my god. There we go. Okay, Shocky, you got licked.
Wait a minute.
I'm not gonna kiss it where it burns.
In the eyeball.
I'll tell you that right now.
I can just
Let's go.
I can get the pre-coital fucking omelet off my head.
I'm gonna kiss you in the
Hey,
eyeball.
you shush. Nobody has
okay.
even said it.
So the funny part was that when it actually happened, I'm trying to remember what the actual conversation was.
I had no part
Oh,
in
look
it.
at Dreams. Holland butt. Dreams Angels.
Who wants to get away from us?
I can't keep remembering to say the last name.
I gotta say though, one of these days,
Oh
like,
yeah, Angel.
I want to write some lyrics to these name songs. Like, okay, so like no bullshit. In the back of my head, I have this like, imagine a proxy punk band. Like
No,
we all
you
just
fell off.
collectively. First, we came up with a band name. Then we came
Look at
up
all
with
the
the
little
song names.
hearts.
Then we're gonna write the lyrics. And then
Oh,
between
the
all of
hearts.
us, we'll try to figure out how to synthesize some punk rock bullshit.
They're just
And then just like
infinitely floating into
put that
space.
shit on YouTube as a freelance, involuntary, overtime development of a bunch of fucking friends. You know what I mean? Like it would be. I think it would be quite funny. Honestly.
Time for a smoke break. Good luck, Tex. I think a lot of us are falling off. Or that or we're getting like poofed away, just like these hearts.
Hearts on February the 14th.
What even?
Excuse me, can I get a novel, please?
No, that one.
I don't know.
Special menu has been reduced tonight.
Sorry, but I backsplashed your mom. It's so pretty funny.
I thought you were actually telling me.
Alright, Battlecat's in the lead, guys. Battlecat's in the lead.
Oh, Battlecat's winning, guys. Hold on. We have to focus on this because our brains are going.
Doritos. Now I want some
I don't
Doritos.
got focus on shit anymore.
I blame Wiggles. I want Doritos.
Don't make me. Oh, no, I want. Oh, come on. Never mind.
Jimmy Chugga. Doritos.
Food is the devil. It's been proven by no science. I'm just happy I didn't get pushed off yet.
What the heck is happening right now?
There were Doritos on screen. I didn't do it.
Hey Wiggles, I want to know what rhymes with Wiggles.
Wiggles.
More Doritos.
Doritos rhyme.
Everybody likes to wiggle.
Sniggle.
Everybody likes
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Amidst the jiggling.
Giggles.
Giggles.
Jiggles.
Wiggles, giggles.
Giggles.
Biggles.
Yeah.
Giggles.
I always call Wiggles Biggles.
No, y'all are getting taken out. Bye.
I used to read Word Up magazine.
Wait, what rhymes with splints?
Battlecat winning all the games.
I sprained
Flints. Yeah.
Oh, it's time. It's time.
Flintstones, baby.
Let's see who is the lucky winner.
Not me.
It is
I did not even.
I should have looked to see who fourth place is because
you keep saying this, but I don't think you know what it means.
Okay. First place or third place. Michigan with third place.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah.
Hey, look at my
Second
ball,
place
though,
goes to Wiggles. And not last but least, first place goes to Battlecat.
Yay.
Well, you can't win again. Right?
Oh yeah. I already know that.
Oh, he already
Battlecat
won.
already won
That's
tonight?
not fair.
No.
Oh, it's rigged.
He hasn't won.
Oh, boo.
And I came in I came in first.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Whatever.
Ah.
So I never was first.
Wait, did Battlecat win or Cattle?
I think he did, or maybe
Battlecat got first place.
No,
before.
You know, I was being.
Bring Sally up.
Yeah.
Bring Sally down.
Cattle bad.
So Splints. So this cup is very deceiving. I'm like, my God, my normal drinks, like I know the quantities, you know.
Yeah, it's a big ass cup,
I look at the
bro.
fucking bottom. It's a 24-ounce cup.
Yeah.
No,
Look at
like,
that fucking thing.
honestly,
Look at that thing. Look at that thing.
I'm so
Okay,
jelly,
Tuck
dude.
said-
I'm gonna steal it when I come to your house.
That would screw up my measurements too, because the way it gets.
I'm gonna steal it.
You can have
Dun,
it.
dun, 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 dun,
Keep your eyes on that mug.
Goes tail. Battlecat. Let's
Come on, are we
find.
doing another one? Or let's go.
Hold on. I'm messaging Battlecat.
Naomi, my direct messages to me, like my basically personal messages to me, right?
My neck.
Yep.
My back.
I just got it.
Yep.
Say it out loud.
I'm gonna saying out loud.
Everyone else is.
Alright, let's see. Alright, I think that might be it for me tonight, guys. I'm tired. I'm sleepy. I think that's the end of stream. We played lots of races, had lots of fun, gave away lots of keys, and we can do it again another night. So don't forget, Friday nights are community nights. Don't forget to follow, and you know, noob. Yes, I am very tired. I work all week, too many hours. I'm a noob.
She
Yeah.
has a YouTube
I'm something.
too that you need to check out.
I do have a YouTube. It's where I post all the shenanigans so that they don't disappear from Twitch.
There are
Tired of us? I am not tired of you guys. I am sleepy. I'm a sleepy cat.
Sleepy
But
cat.
yes, I will be in Discord for a little while, hanging out and chilling, and then I'm going to crash. So thank you guys. Thank you again. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for lurking, listening, and playing. Let me check out. Let me look real quick and see if there's anybody I want to read real quick before I disappear. Before we run away. I have to make sure it's muted so I can find people who will be the one. Da, 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 da. Is anybody on my list playing marbles?
Lucky.
There are a few people on my list playing marbles.
I read it the first time. I just read the last message you sent me again.
Oh no. Yeah.
Right. No, I'm saying.
I'm fine.
Okay, we'll do this. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it, Snappy. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much. Now you're trying to make me feel like I can't leave. I'm just about to raid somebody. Welcome to the stream, though. Welcome, 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 and happy Valentine's Day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can I get some hype in chat? I think I overhyped it. Nah, it's never too much, never too much. But thank you for joining and hanging out and saying hi.
I know you probably don't want to hear this, Mono, but can I say something? I think you're fantastic. And
Oh, thank you.
thank you so much for streaming for us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your kind words.
Yeah, we all really enjoy you. And, like, I think we all
I try. I
agree.
try.
You're amazing. So thank you.
All right. Thank you.
And
We are gonna.
that's coming from straight from my heart. So thank you so much for being the person that you are.
Well, thank you for your words, and thank you for being here. Thank you for being kind. You're already missing Mona. Alright, yeah, I know. You guys, I miss you guys too. It was like, it's been like 2 weeks since I was on here, so I'm glad to be back again. And I'll see you guys Sunday. I ain't got anything crazy going on this week, so. This weekend, anyway. So I'll see you guys Sunday again. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing yet, but I'll be here. So, y'all take care, and let's get ready for this raid. This is who we're raiding, another marble streamer. So go ahead and click through and copy and paste the raid hype. We're raiding on a commercial. You see this, right?
I know I was about to read it, but then I was like, maybe not.
I know, right? We're just gonna go raid. So, yeah. Copy, paste. We want Cookies or Riot. I almost feel like I need a new one for people that don't know me that well, and I go in with Cookies and Riot. Somebody's gonna ban me. You know, I almost got banned for raiding somebody once. They were so new to Twitch that they didn't even know what a raid was. And they were banning people that raided them because they just thought that it was a bad thing.
They thought you guys were like.
That's hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah, they thought it was a bad thing. I was like, no, it's not a bad thing. It's a normal thing.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not a bad raid, because I'm guessing their first experience was probably a bad raid, which is terrible.
Or maybe like a bunch of people making fun of them or something. Yeah.
Like trolls or bot raids, you know, that kind of thing.
One of those raids on Tumblr back in the day.
Yeah. But all right, guys, catch you next time. See you stream.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Jaffron.